is a Molstar Communications production in association with CKND Television. Winning for the Winnipeg Jets, there's really no secret to what they have to do. First, they have to be physical and take the body. Goaltending, you can't win in the NHL without it, and when Bob Essens is on his game, he's as good as they come. Defensive play in their own zone, the Jets' most glaring deficiency. Yet when everyone has their check, it makes the game a lot easier for the blue line crew. Mucking and grinding, the Jets are loaded with players that will scratch and claw and do whatever it takes to cause havoc in front of the opposition goal. They also have the highly skilled top guns, players who can score like Tkachuk, Solani, and the injured Jamnov, all three among the top 15 of the NHL scorers. And they've been getting goals from the third and fourth lines, who have made significant contributions in recent Jet victories. And the Jets hope to have all of that and more as they face the Bruins, who are always tough at home and are led by 26-goal scorer Cam Neely. Tonight, from Boston, it's the Jets and Bruins, live on CKND. Molson Jets Hockey on CKND is brought to you by Molson Breweries, where every beer brewed is naturally aged and free of preservatives. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Molson Jets Hockey on CKND. I'm Joe Pascucci. Tonight, the Jets begin the second half of their season somewhat desperate to find some success. We've shown you the ingredients that have gone into their 15 wins. However, 22 losses is proof that the players can't remember the formula every game. Heading into the season, the Jets were confident of being contenders, but are nowhere to be seen among the top 7 of the Western Conference. Now the struggle for the Jets is to make the playoffs. And the fight for the 8th and last playoff spot is a close one, with the LA Kings on even terms and the Sharks and Ducks right behind. And don't count out the Oilers now that Glenn Sather is back behind the bench. Rookie goaltender Mike O'Neill will start in goal for the Jets, his first game in net since being called up from Moncton. Incidentally, Boston is where O'Neill made his NHL debut just a year ago. And earlier today, the Jets also recalled winger Jan Kaminski. In 30 games with the Moncton Hawks, he has scored just 9 goals and 22 points. Well, with more on the Jets and the Bruins, let's check in with Bruce Buchanan and John Garrett, who are at the Boston Garden.
Thanks, Joe. Good evening and Happy New Year, everybody. John Garrett, the Winnipeg Jets will play their 43rd game of the season tonight against the Boston Bruins. How about an assessment on the first half?
I would have to say one word could describe the way the Jets have played in the first half: inconsistent. And you look at the way it started, the Jets, some games they look like they can beat anybody in the league. The last 3 games at home, they played very well defensively. Got the big goals when they needed them. But they have stretches, especially on the road, where they seem to give up very early in the game. They give up some funny goals. Their passing is way off, and I think inconsistent would describe their play.
They've had trouble the last few games, scoring only 6 goals in the last 5, and some of the veterans have to get going. One of them, Thomas Steen.
Thomas Steen has really struggled. Now he's playing on the big line. He has to produce some points. You look at the first 20 games, perfect case of inconsistency again. Thomas Steen was their best forward over the first 20 games of the season. Since then, he's been injured, sure, but he has just not been able to produce the kind of points that you expect from Thomas Steen.
Do you expect the Bruins to come out flying tonight? They haven't played since Sunday against Washington, although they don't have a very good record against the Central.
They played pretty well at home, the last game against Washington in particular, but 3 of the 4 games before that they lost. They want to keep it on a roll, but after 4 days off, you wonder if they'll come out flat.
And Cam Neely continues to write an amazing story. 26 goals in the 22 games he's played.
Power forward, the typical power forward. Hey, you describe Keith Tkachuk, what do you say? He's a Cam Neely-type player. Gary Roberts, they say Cam Neely-type player. That's the kind of player he is already. He's established himself as the mark of the power forward.
Up next, we'll have the opening face-off between the Winnipeg Jets and Boston Bruins, live on CKND.
Well, the Jets and Bruins, the opening face-off just moments away. And there are 5 other games taking place in the NHL. It's a big night for Central Division teams. All teams in action tonight, starting with St. Louis at Hartford in a neutral site game. Back in Cleveland, the Whalers have won 3 in a row. Ottawa Senators taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs and Senators both winless in their last 7 games. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. The Hawks on the 2-game win streak. Philadelphia is at Dallas. The Stars have lost 2 in a row. They're just 2 points back of the Leafs. And Detroit taking on San Jose. The Wings are unbeaten in 5. Coming up in our first intermission tonight, we'll have Jordy Douglas in studio again, their MTS out-of-town scoreboard, and a feature on Jets assistant coach Andy Murray. In our second intermission, once again, we'll be talking with former Jet Jordy Douglas. As well, we'll have the Reimer out-of-town scoreboard, Dirt Devil trivia, and a CKND news update. And joining us now is former Jet Jordy Douglas talking about tonight's game. John Garrett said inconsistent to describe the first 42 games of the season for the Jets. I'm sure a lot of fans out there have a few other words, some more choice than others.
It's been an interesting half a season. I'm sure if you could put one word on it, it may possibly be inconsistent. They're just not doing a lot of things consistently, and that's inconsistent. I mean, we can talk about it. Everybody's talking about it. Who knows what's happening out there, but they sure got to get it going tonight.
It'll be interesting to see how the Jets do because they always play well against the better teams. Boston is a better team. Let's send you out to Boston.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets in fire, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled
The Garden crowd is fired up. René Rancourt with the American National Anthem. There's the referee for tonight's hockey game, 36-year-old Rob Schick. His linesmen are Mark Vines and Brian Murphy. In goal for the Jets, his first start of the year, 26-year-old Mike O'Neill. He played in 2 games for the Jets last season, and he's coming off shoulder surgery. 31-year-old John Casey goes for the Bruins tonight, his 29th game of the year. He came over from Dallas for Andy Moog, and Casey has won 4 of his last 5, John.
He's been inconsistent this year. We talked about the Jets play and the goaltending for the Boston Bruins. They've wondered. John Blue has been in extended periods, and John Casey, he's been hot and cold. And as you said, hot of late.
Jets playing the third of a 5-game road trip. They've dropped the first 2 and were shut out in Hartford last night. Long shot from center by Wesley, steered aside by O'Neill. Spolinski behind the net to Reed at the side of the goal. Centers it for Wesley, and he fanned on it. Out comes Tkachuk for the Jets with Quintel. Could be a 2-on-1. Tkachuk waits, shoots, and a stick save by Casey. Now Spolinski, the Bruins rookie, back the other way. He's checked, and Emerson picks it up for the Jets to Teppo Numminen. Off the boards for Yzerbark. Leach just inside the Jets line, and Boston offside with 34 seconds gone in the first period.
Mike O'Neill making his first start for John Paddock, as Bob Essens has had a couple of outings that he's let some goals in that the Jets coaching staff have wondered about. Although when you get shut out, I don't know how you can possibly blame the goaltender. What's he supposed to do, to go down and score? Behind the other bench, the 2 coaches of the Boston Bruins, Tommy McVie, former teammate of mine with the Portland Buckaroos.
Brian Sutter. You're dating yourself, John. Brian Sutter leading the Bruins to first place in the Adams last year with 109 points. Of course, now the Northeast Division. David Shaw flipping it down the boards. Checked by Tomlinson. Glenn Featherstone backing up. Here's Dean Kennedy at his own line for the Jets at center for King. He nearly fanned on it. And the puck is inside the Bruins zone. Featherstone. Pass at center for Cam Stewart. High Domi on the ice. He mixes it up. Along the boards with Stewart. Zoltak in to help out. And Tomlinson shoots it in for the Jets. Just past the 1 minute mark. First period. There's no score. Dave Shaw loses the puck to Domi. Trying to get set for a shot. Turns away from Shaw. Puck loose along the boards, and it's cleared by Murray for Stewart. But Kennedy was there for the Jets. Very short neutral zone here at the Boston Garden. Here's Shaw on the attack for the Bruins. Slap shot from a bad angle, and O'Neill got his arm on that. Domi threw it past Sweeney at the point. Chris King chasing after it, and a good defensive play by Murray, who dove to poke the puck away from Chris King. Don Sweeney flying through center for the Bruins. Forced back by Quintel. Bourque from the point. His shot is deflected wide. Ray Bourque leads the NHL in shots. 185 coming into tonight's hockey game as the puck goes out of play.
Injured for the Boston Bruins, Adam Oates and Gord Roberts, who just came back, played 8 games straight. Dave Shaw was out. Roberts sits tonight for the Bruins. Ardo Bloomston and Alexei Zhamnov, they expect him back in the middle of January. And what a big loss for a team that's trying to score goals and having problems to lose their top goal scorer. You look at Adam Oates out for the Bruins. He's their top scorer. This is a good rink to start for a goaltender. You get lots of shots. The puck usually comes to the net. And Mike O'Neill, you get warmed up in a hurry when you're the visiting goaltender playing in the Boston Garden.
O'Neill not very big at 5'7", but stands up well. We saw him play a game in Ottawa last year. Donato out of the corner, still has it, shoots. O'Neill makes the save. Has the puck between his pads as Donato tried to beat him through the 5-hole.
Short goaltenders, you have to stay on your feet. You have to become as large as you can. Mike O'Neill waits, good patience. The shot comes. He has his stick solid on the ice. Makes the save and covers up.
The dangerous Cam Neely on the ice for the Bruins. Juneau playing center tonight with Oates out of the lineup. Ted Donato, the other member of this high-flying Bruins forward line. Stefan Quintel, former Bruin, started his NHL career here in Boston. He dumps it in. John Casey has to change hands on the stick. Got it to Neely. Now to Ray Bourque at center. Pass on the left side. Donato pokes it in. O'Neill gives it to Newman and behind the net. Around for Shannon. He was bumped by Ray Bourque, who put it on Shannon's stick. He tried to send Solani away, but Bourque recovered defensively for the Bruins. Across to Don Sweeney. Nearing the 3-minute mark, first period, there's no score as Quintel hammers it in for the Jets. Juneau giving chase. Wearing a mask. He's broke his jaw for the second time this season recently. Centered for Neely. Tried to kick it to Juneau. Here's Wesley in from the point. Directed it towards the net. O'Neill is down and has it at the side of the goal. No play continues. Rob Schick was ready to blow his whistle, but Boughton gives it to Mironov. Jets rookie defenseman stick handles by Wesley. Mironov still has it. Then sent a weak backhand to the corner. Eagles collides with Wesley. Hines dangerously in front of his own net. He got it to Brent Hughes. Now to Juneau on the end of a long shift. Trying to cut in against Mironov. Unable to center it. Now the puck came in front. It's kicked away by Boughton. Juneau from the corner centers it. Hughes poked it wide. Jan Kaminski just up from Moncton. Failed to clear it. Mike Eagle should be able to for the Jets. And he brings it to center. Dumps it in off the stick of Wesley. Puck does stay in the rink. Wesley hit behind the net by Eagles. Back on his skates, and he carries it out for the Bruins. Long shot, just wide. And O'Neill hangs on as the puck came off the backboards. From Boston Garden, your Molson Dry telecast.
When others are blowing hot and cold about how beer is made, there is a beer which quietly and consistently delivers on its promise. Nobody delivers great beer taste and no aftertaste like Molson Special Dry. No beer. It just could be the best beer ever brewed, anytime, anywhere.
This is Reimer Country. Fast, economical, guaranteed service. Shrinking time and costs to deliver goods across the West, throughout Canada and the United States, right to your door. Reimer Express, reliable economy, on time or free.
The next home game for the Jets, Wednesday, January 12th, when Dominic Hasek and the Buffalo Sabres come to town. For tickets, call 780-SEATS. The Jets have been hot at home. They've won 3 in a row.
Hasek leads the league in goals against average, and you wonder about Grant Fuhr's future. There's lots of rumors that Fuhr could be moving to Detroit.
Nelson Emerson failed to clear it. Sweeney from the point to Steve Leach. Slap shot deflected just wide. Dave Reed on the other side for Boston. Tied up in the corner by Mironov. Smolinski back for Reed. He centered it. Bowden to Tkachuk off the boards. Failed to clear the zone. Bork's slap shot is tipped wide. Here's Smolinski for Boston. Hit by Mironov. Leach picks it up along the boards. To the side of the net. Bowden to Emerson. He breaks out with Keith Tkachuk. Emerson turning at the line. He was hit by Ray Bork. Smolinski. Pass too far ahead for Steve Leach. He'll give chase against Bowden. Played it off the glass to center. David Shaw, who missed 3 games with a pinched nerve, back in the Boston lineup tonight. Bowden for Winnipeg. Fires it in from center. Juneau touches it. Bowden didn't wait long enough, and the Jets are called for icing. 5:07 gone in the first. 0-0.
Ryan Sutter was a little worried about the long time off the Bruins had. 4 days. After a big win, you have to give the team the next day off. And he's hoping his team can keep that intensity they had against the Washington Capitals. They played a very physical game against Washington. And one of the players that was hitting that night was Joe Juneau. He said that he had his jaw broken a couple of times because he didn't protect himself. He said from now on he's going to keep that stick high, let the puck go, and make sure that he doesn't take the big hit again.
Joe Juneau turned 26 yesterday. He and Teemu Selanne in a battle for the Calder Trophy last season. Won, of course, by the Jets' number 13, Teppo Numminen. Skates to center. Shoots it into Boston territory. Shannon tipped it into the corner for Thomas Steen. Centers it, Selanne. Winding up. His shot was deflected by Shaw. Big pile up in the corner. Shaw off the boards for Juneau, and he bats it past Numminen into Winnipeg territory. Juneau after Numminen. Around to Teemu Selanne. To Shannon. Steen is trailing the play. Picks it up at center. To Quintel. Cutting for the net. Quintel right in. Scores! Beautiful goal by Stefan Quintel.
There's nothing like scoring against one of the teams that traded you. Stefan Quintel, number 4, looked like Bobby Orr on this play. Goes right in. Lots of time. The Bruins defense let Quintel get the room he needed to go right around John Casey. Nice play by Steen. Pushes the defense back. Gives it to Quintel. Look at the room. Lots of room. Goes right around John Casey and tucks it in. Thomas Steen set that up by pushing the defense back. Gives it to Quintel, and Quintel does the rest. Uses the reach on the goaltender and beats John Casey.
Great goal by Stefan Quintel, his 5th of the season. And the Jets on top 1-0. Kulinoff drives it in. So an encouraging start for the Jets.
That's goal number 5 of the season for Stefan Quintel.
Glenn Wesley. Out to center. He was checked by Chris King. Domi charging down the left side for the Jets. He's held up by Stanton. Casey cleared it to the line, and Hughes just flips it out for the Bruins. A rolling puck. Kulinoff back to touch it, and this time the Bruins are nabbed for icing. Stefan Quintel has scored. It's 1-0 Winnipeg in Boston. $10 down.
$10 a month.
At Dufresne Furniture and Appliances, $10 is all it takes.
Donate at Dufresne. Buy one piece.
Buy a room full.
Buy a house full of furniture.
For just $10 down.
And $10 a month.
Buy furniture, recliners, mattresses, and more.
Get anything. Get everything you need.
For just $10 down.
And $10 a month.
Plus, there's more.
Your furniture is interest-free for 1 full year.
So get to Dufresne Furniture and Appliances now.
And get it all.
For just $10 down.
And $10 a month.
At Co-op and Tempo gas stations, we know that getting your tank filled can make a person hungry. So right now, with the minimum 30-liter purchase, we'll give you a coupon for a delicious 2-piece chicken and chips from Chicken Delight for only 99 cents. A 2-piece chicken and chips from Chicken Delight with a minimum 30-liter gasoline purchase at participating Co-op or Tempo stations. I'm getting hungry.
Co-op and Tempo gas, your first stop.
We have a winner in our Safeway Score and Win contest. Paul Kazita entered a ballot and included a label from Purex bathroom tissue. As a result, Paul has won the Best of TFL on Quintel's 5th of the year from Shannon and Steen at 5:15. Mironov from the point. His shot steered away by Casey. Tkachuk to the side of the net. Isabart centered it, and the puck rolled away from Keith Tkachuk, who has several family members here. Born in Melrose, Massachusetts, and attended Boston University. Smolinski for Leach. That was picked off by Mironov. Reed carries it in. Rink wide for Don Sweeney. Smolinski behind the net. Bowden goes down on top of the puck behind the goal, and that gets a whistle from Rob Schick. Fans didn't like it.
Thomas Steen's first point since December 10th, the assist on Quintel's goal, and it was a good move by Steen. He used his speed. Another look at the whistle. Boughton falls on the puck. Good play to get the whistle as the Jets were in trouble in their own zone. Thomas Steen drove the defense back on the goal and gave Quintel lots of room. Allowed Quintel to go in and beat John Casey.
Randy Gillen will face off against John Morris, just called up from Providence. Bruins not a team to carry many extra players. Morris in, Oates out of the Boston lineup tonight, and that's good news for the Jets. Tkachuk lost the puck to Don Sweeney. Isabart off the boards. Tried to go to the slot, and the puck rolled away from Mironov in front for Emerson. He turned to shoot and lost control. Hughes bumped by Tkachuk. Bowden at the right point. To Emerson in the corner. Tipped it ahead for Tkachuk. He was bumped by Bork. Isabart back to Tkachuk at the side of the goal. Puck slid under his stick. John Morris. Stick handles past a couple of Jets. Looking for Hughes on the left side. He had to wait. It would have been offside. Hines goes down behind the goal. Hughes to the corner after for the Bruins. Right to the front of the net, and Mironov just flips it out for the Jets. 12:19 left first period. 1-0 Jets on a goal by Stefan Quintel. Joe Juneau stops at center as he saw Shannon coming. Wesley on the left side into the Jet zone. Put it behind the net. O'Neill set it up for Quintel. Around the boards for Shannon. That was knocked down by Juneau. Donato from the corner centers it. Stanton in from the point. Couldn't get the feed from Neely. Solani failed to clear the zone, but Quintel follows up and shoots it into the Boston zone. Steen was checked by Juneau. Neely to Wesley to Donato. Working down the left wing boards. Drops it to Juneau in the corner. Into the slot, right onto the stick of Thomas Steen. Dumps it in to Bruins territory, and a delayed offside against the Jets.
Brian Sutter, one of the few coaches who only has one assistant coach, that being Tommy McVie. And Dmitry Vartalnov went to Providence. John Morris called up, and one of the knocks on Brian Sutter is that the European players do not gain his favor very easily. And he said that's not the case. He just wants the guys to learn how to work hard every game, and he doesn't think they understand that. Their schedules are, they only play 35, 40 games a year, and when they play 84, they don't come to play every night. That's why he doesn't get along with them.
Sergei Zoltak on the ice for Sutter right now, as Ulanov dumps it in for the Jets. Glenn Featherstone around for Murray. Gillen, Kaminsky, and Eagles, the forward line for the Jets. Eagles into the corner with Zoltok. Rubbed out of the play. Eagles continues to work. Gillen unable to center it. Murray kicks it by Ulanoff. Kaminsky was slammed into the glass by a Bruin Eagles shot. Casey got his glove on that. Rebound. Gillen scores! And it's 2-0 Jets.
After that big hit, Kaminsky gets back in the play. Eagles drives to the net. Good work by this checking line for the Winnipeg Jets. Kaminsky is doubled over as he heads to the box. Domi comes out, talks to Stewart. The Bruins turn it over. Good forechecking by Mike Eagles. Gets the shot. Casey gets a piece, but not enough. Kaminsky, you see, takes Casey out. Eagles goes to the net, and Gillen's got the empty net. Eagles with the shot. Kaminsky, after the loose puck, takes the goalie out. Gillen right there to snap it in.
Randy Gillen, 6th of the season, 2nd since joining the Jets. He's playing his 20th game with the Jets.
Assisted by number 36, Mike Eagle.
And it's 2-0 Winnipeg
9 minutes, 9 seconds.
at the 9:09 mark of period 1.
It's too bad they don't give Kaminsky an assist on that goal. They've just got Mike Eagles listed. Kaminsky did a lot of work, took the big hit, got back in the play, and doesn't even get a point.
Ulanoff was slammed into the boards by Cam Neely. Domi behind the net. Centers it. Tomlinson to King. His shot. Casey the save. And the Bruins goalie covers up as the Jets swarm again. Quintel and Gillen have scored in the first. It's 2-0 Jets.
In today's business world, it's hard to keep up, even if you have all the right tools. To stay on top of complex financial and accounting issues, you need someone with a specialized education and a commitment to ongoing training. A certified general accountant will give your company the management tools and insights you'll need in the 90s and will help keep your business humming. Certified general accountants, wherever sound financial decisions are made.
When others are blowing hot and cold about how beer is made, there is a beer which quietly and consistently delivers on its promise. Nobody delivers great beer taste and no aftertaste like Molson Special Dry. No beer. It just could be the best beer ever brewed, anytime, anywhere.
Rick Collis is our next lucky winner in the Safeway Score and Win contest by including an Orville Redenbacher microwave popping corn proof of purchase. And entering at Safeway, Rick has won a set of Dirt Devil vacuums from Royal Appliance. Jets 2, Bruins nothing, 10:33 remaining first period. Kachuk loses the draw to Juneau.
Randy Gillen's other goal was scored in an empty netter. That was a Jets road win as they beat LA 8-6.
Paul Yzerbark scored his 200th career point in the NHL with that goal in Chicago on Sunday and a penalty upcoming. Tripping will be the call to Sergei Boughton.
Joe Juneau goes down awfully easily. I thought that he might call interference on Boughton as Boughton just tried to get a stick on Juneau, create some space. Boughton gets the stick on Juneau. Juneau goes down quite easily. And Boughton gets the penalty. Winnipeg Jets have played very well the first 10 minutes of this game, and now they get a penalty that would be called questionable at very best. The Bruins have a chance to turn this one around.
And the Bruins have a potent power play, second in the league at 24.3%. They're 15 for 31 in the last 7. Jets on top 2-0. And Bruins with the man advantage. Donato to Neely. Bruins having trouble getting organized. Emerson and Kachuk up front for Winnipeg with Numminen and Quintel on defense. Quintel wearing number 4, switching from 16. Bork gains the line for the Bruins. to Glenn Wesley. To the front of that, they scored! Tipped in by Ted Donato.
Glenn Wesley does a good job from the point. Not how hard, but get it on the net. Donato goes to the net. The Bruins a very good power play. Bork to Wesley, quick low shot. Donato goes to the front of the net. No chance for Mike O'Neill as it's tipped through his legs by Ted Donato. Better look at it there. You can see the good low shot by Glenn Wesley. It wasn't very hard, an easy tip in by Donato.
10th goal of the season for Donato, the Boston-born forward, and his 5th on the power play. So the Bruins within 1, striking quickly on the power play. And that should give them some life. As John said, the Jets very good in the first 10 minutes. And now the Bruins are called for icing. Wesley and Bork assisting on the power play goal by Ted Donato.
On a penalty that I thought was very questionable in the neutral zone, one that Rob Schick could have ignored. Another look at the shot by Wesley, tipped in by Donato, no chance for Mike O'Neill. Bork to Wesley, quick puck movement, and the Jets didn't have time to react. The good power plays, good passes. When you get Wesley and Bork on the point, you're going to have good passes. The forwards go to the net, Donato and Neely, not much chance.
Face off to the left of John Casey, Steen, and Smolinski on the draw. Ray Bork. Smolinski to Reed at center. On the left side to Don Sweeney, cutting in the shot. Gloved by O'Neill, and he hangs on. Bruins defense has been quick to jump into the play in this first period.
Good example of the stand-up goaltending of Mike O'Neill. Again, the Bruins defense jumping up into the play. Don Sweeney, full head of steam. Gets the pass a little bit behind him, so he can't cut into the net. Pulls it, takes the shot. O'Neill, stand-up goaltender, outside the top of the crease. Makes the save and hangs on.
Mike O'Neill, a 2.76 average, 8-4 with Moncton this season. He played pretty well in that Ottawa game last year before suffering the shoulder injury. Had some complications after surgery, nerve problems, and just now getting the good feeling back in his shoulder. Zoltak. Pass way too far ahead for Cam Stewart. Kennedy. Pushed off the puck behind the net. Bork from the pointers. Murray from the slot. Shoots. Bounced off the top of the goal as O'Neill was screened on the play. And the Jets clear it down the ice to relieve the pressure. Casey forced to play it. Domi would have been 2 at first. Jets fortunate there. Kennedy at his own line to Igor Ulanov. For Chris King. Pass off the skate of Ty Domi. Bork cleared the zone. Zoltak checked by Ulanov, but he was offside on the play. 8:32 left in the first.
Brian Sutter talked about Zoltak and how a young player coming from Europe has to learn things about the NHL, the defensive part of it. And Zoltak is quite willing to learn. That's why Brian Sutter likes him so much. Dave Tomlinson gives the Jets that physical presence up front. Good, honest performer. Graduate of the Western Hockey League, where you get that good education. Much similar. You look at the World Junior Champions this year. Again, Canada winning, and a lot of that has to do with the preparation they get in Major Junior.
Jets have outshot the Bruins 6-4 and lead 2-1 here in the first. Keith Tkachuk still controls it to Mironov at the left point. Made a good move on Cam Neely. Mironov in deep. Checked behind the net by Neely. Eisebard in to help out Tkachuk in the corner. Skates away from Wesley. Eisebard tied up by Juneau. Eisebard kicks it to the front of the net. Casey just did get a piece of it as Eisebard nearly fooled him on the short side. Cam Neely. Fans react every time number 8 touches the puck. And the Bruins are offside.
Keith Tkachuk and Paul Stanton have words. Stanton goes to the box. Tkachuk double shifting tonight. Physical presence, almost pops one in. Paul Eisenbart cuts to the front, gets a chance on Casey. Tkachuk follows the play and almost banged it in on the rebound. We didn't see it there, but Tkachuk with the double shift, playing in front, as you said, Bruce, in front of his friends and family. Last year, 200 of those friends came to the game, and I'm sure the same amount are here. It's snowing outside in Boston. They are having a series of storms here, and the fans still here from Melrose.
Hodar tried to renegotiate his contract the same day, needing that many tickets. Teppo Numminen in the corner. With Leach, Shannon. To Teemu Selanne. Nearly got around Don Sweeney. Ray Bourque slaps it in. O'Neill down to make that save. Numminen flips it out for the Jets. Puck goes just wide of the crease, icing waved off. Steve Leach. Pass off the skate of Sweeney. Bourque cleared it for Boston. Teppo Numminen to Shannon at center. Into the Boston zone. Selanne on top of it. Tempted to drop it for Steen, and it's Leach for Boston with Reed. 3 Jets backing up at the line. Leach into the slot. Selanne there, and he cleared it. 6:45 remaining first period. Jets 2 and the Bruins 1. Featherstone to Shaw. Belted by Ulanov. And Eagles dumps it into the Boston zone. Tkachuk and Featherstone involved in the corner. Eagles kicking at it. So is Hines. A lot of battles along the boards in Boston Garden. Out comes Steve Hines. Gillen holding his man up. That being Brent Hughes. And a stoppage in play for an offside. 2-1 Jets at the Garden.
Wow. Oh, I heard about this.
What are you watching this Sunday at 7?
My purpose in life is to witness this moment.
We need the outlet for our rock tumbler.
Plug it in! Plug it in!
What, the rock tumbler or the TV?
The TV! The TV!
What show is everyone so excited about?
Wow! They'll never let us show that again.
The Simpsons Hour. Sunday at 7 on CKND.
Join in the 30-hour famine and reach out to needy kids by collecting sponsors and going without food. Call now. You can do something amazing. You can save a life.
Coming up in our first intermission, we will feature Jets assistant coach Andy Murray. We'll hear from studio analyst Jordy Douglas, who talks with Joe Pascucci and the MTS out-of-town scoreboard. Andy wanted to wish his son Jordy a happy birthday. He'll turn 4 tomorrow. Igor Ulanov for Tomlinson. Bruins keep it in. Tomlinson off the boards and out. Wesley at center to Steve Hines on the right side. Couldn't handle the pass. Puck came into O'Neill, and the Jets goalie takes no chances. Holding on for a face-off. 5:53 left in period 1. 2-1 Winnipeg.
Small rink like this, the puck comes to the goalie, and being his first start in the NHL this year, Mike O'Neill making sure, covering up most of the loose pucks around his net. John Morris played in San Jose last year, came to San Jose from New Jersey. Didn't play a whole lot with the Sharks, was a role player, and here with Boston, just up from Providence due to the injury to Adam Oates. Steve Hines limped off the ice and is still in the runway in behind the spare goaltender John Blue, and you have to wonder about Hines, whether he's all right. Another veteran player. Hines goes down and Oates can't come back. They'll really become a young team.
Stewart now on the left side with Juneau and Neely. Face off to the left of Mike O'Neill. Gillen wins the draw to Igor Ulanov. Starting out for the Jets for Tomlinson. He was tied up by Stanton, who won a couple of Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Boston-born defenseman. Wesley behind the net. Watched by Tomlinson. Stanton for Neely. He just let the puck go, and it's Dean Kennedy in his own zone for the Jets. Pass off the skate of Juno. King. Big collision there with Don Sweeney. Tomlinson drops it to Ty Domi. The shot, and Casey just got his glove on that. Stewart to Neely. Missed a check from King. Ran into Ulanoff. Neely takes a shot at Ulanoff. O'Neill makes the save at the side of the net, and Neely's mixing it up with Chris King. Kennedy trying to get it. Neely was upset that Ulanoff attempted to hit him low, John.
Ulanoff attempted to hit him low. Chris King attempted to hit him high earlier in the shift as Neely broke down the wing, and Neely was in no mood to be hit again. And King and Neely go off.
And maybe Ulanoff.
Neely on the rush. There's the low hit by Ulanoff, and that's why Neely didn't like that hit. Earlier, Chris King tried to hit Neely high, and Ulanoff was on the second hit. Crunching body check that set up the chance from Ty Domi, similar to the goal scored by Randy Gillen, where Kaminsky was hit in that same area right in front of the penalty box. Small rink doesn't give you the time. You get in that neutral zone and you never get used to the Boston Garden. You get on the road, you're always looking for the pass and you feel you have time. Here in Boston, you don't have time. You have to look up immediately.
But I don't think John Casey's looked all that sharp here in the first period.
Steve Leach is being helped off to the Boston dressing room. Looks like he's got knee problems.
Joe Juno around Boughton at center, cutting in with Donato. Juno right in. Good save by O'Neill. Juno behind the net. Trying to come in front, 4-on-4 action here with King and Neely on. Sweeney in from the left point. In the slot for Bork, couldn't control it. Bruins buzzing around. Juno in front. Bork shot, scores!
The advantage of having defensemen who jump up into the play. Ray Bork jumps up into the play and is set up. The Jets had control and didn't clear the zone. Keith Tkachuk is going to get a penalty after the goal, but I think Ted Donato is going to go with them. Bork misses a pass, but then stays in the play. And when you have good offensive defensemen, they take chances like that. Joe Juno turns it over. Perfect pass to Bork. The shot hits Mironov and goes through Mike O'Neill. Bork's shot deflected, and Mike O'Neill's had 2 deflected goals scored on him. Tkachuk hit Donato after the goal, and then Donato went after him, and that's why they're both gone.
So the Jets did have a 2-0 lead. It's now 2-2 as Ray Bork scores his 12th
Boston goal
of the season.
By number 77, Ray Bork.
Joe Juno's a natural center, and you can see him at that position. He feels so comfortable setting up plays. Juno with the turnover deep in the Jet zone. Sets up Bork perfectly. Right on the tape. No chance for O'Neill again.
Ray Bork will be making his 15th consecutive appearance as an All-Star. And signed to a new contract just into the regular season after going to arbitration. Bork to Smolinski, still 4-on-4 in a 2-2 tie. Smolinski splits the defense, takes the shot, and O'Neill just got his blocker on that. The Jets defense allowing Smolinski to walk right in. Quintel to center. On the left side to Teemu Solani. He's cut off by Bork. Looking for Quintel, but that was intercepted by Sweeney. His pass off Solani. Steen had to wait. Gives it to Newman. Bork in his own zone to Don Sweeney. On the right wing for Hines. Newman lost the puck to Hines, and he'll get a penalty from Rob Schick for holding. Fans don't like it, but Jets will have their first power play opportunity.
Steve Hines reached right around and grabbed a hold of Teppo Numminen, both hands around Numminen. The fans don't like any calls that go against the Bruins here at the Boston Garden. Hines reaches around with both hands. Grabs a hold of Numminen, takes the holding penalty. Special teams, a big factor in the downfall of the Jets and why the Bruins are playing so well. The Winnipeg Jets power play under that 20%. You always like to be around 20%. It's 19.6, ninth in the league. Penalty killing for the Bruins, 84.6, very good, sixth in the league. And the Bruins haven't scored that many goals. They're a team that doesn't pile up big offensive numbers, but their special teams are very good.
Jets were 0 for 3 in Hartford last night. Bork's 12 from Juneau and Sweeney, the last Boston scoring play at 15:32 to tie the game at 2 apiece. 4-on-3 power play. Emerson, Isabart, Mironov, and Quintel for Winnipeg. Ray Bork tempted to stick handle out at Emerson all over him. Bork gets to the puck again, rink wide to Dave Reed. To Don Sweeney, slap shot, scores!
A short-handed goal for the Boston Bruins. We talked about the defense jumping up into the play for the Bruins. Another example, Don Sweeney, perfect pass from Dave Reed, but he had all kinds of time to make this pass. Watch Dave Reed. Sets up, hits Sweeney, and Sweeney's got all sorts of room. Rolling puck, drives it through Mike O'Neill.
The Bruins' 7th shorthanded goal of the season.
Rolling puck makes it even tougher for a goaltender. Sweeney with lots of room down the middle of the ice. Makes no mistake.
That's the 9th shorthanded goal that the Jets have allowed. Jets have surrendered a 2-0 lead. Boston with its first advantage, 3-2. 1:35 left in the power play. Teemu Selanne around Reed, the shot. Casey the save, and held it out. Mironov to Steen in the corner. Back to Selanne. Neely and King out of the box. Solanne's pass came back to the point, and it was tipped out by Cam Neely. 1:15 left in the power play. Quintel for the Jets. To Thomas Steen. Quintel to Shannon. He fanned on it, and the puck was cleared by Neely. Mironov to Quintel. He dumps it into the Boston zone. Dave Shaw around the boards. Mironov at the point, and it's poked by him by Cam Neely. Quintel lost it to Juneau. Centers it for Cam Stewart, and out come the Jets. Here's Nelson Emerson. Shaw backing up. Emerson for Teemu Selanne. Numminen, side of the net. Shannon tipped it, and the save by Casey. Juneau in the corner. High off the glass. Bowden pinching in. He collides with Stewart. Shannon digging for it. Has the puck. Selanne scores!
A power play goal for the Winnipeg Jets. Perfect pass, Darren Shannon to Teemu Selanne. Good goal scorers get their feet and their stick ready. Selanne was ready for that pass from Darren Shannon. Bowden pinched in, creates a chance. Shannon, pass. Selanne, perfect position, drives it by John Casey.
Solanne's 22nd of the year, 10th on the power play. Our next lucky winner in the score and win contest is C. Stoyansky of Winnipeg. C. Stoyansky entered score and win at Safeway along with a proof of purchase from Purex bathroom tissue. Congratulations, you've won Sultan Gourmet kitchen appliances. So a high-scoring first period. 3 goals by each club.
All the score and win winners don't mind.
Not at all.
John Casey has not looked sharp. Even the ones he's stopped, he's had them in his feet and he's been stumbling around. Jets should try and put more pressure on him.
Jets called for icing, 1:47 remaining in the first period. The shots 11-9 in favor of Winnipeg.
His career National Hockey League point
Dave Reed gets an applause as his assist on Don Sweeney's goal, the one that made it 3-2, was his 200th point. Ray Bourque has a couple of points already tonight.
Ray Bourque has a few more than 200 points in his career.
Ray Bourque's been in on all 3 goals. Goal and 2 assists already.
Dave Reed, a 20-goal scorer last year for the Bruins, scored his first of the year in that Boston win over Washington. Teppo Numminen for Winnipeg. Has Tomlinson streaking down the left side. Numminen dumps it in. Neely to Bourque behind the goal. His pass hit Ty Domi. Bourque around to Ted Donato. Tomlinson through center. He flips it in. Bourque around the boards. Kennedy waiting at the right point. Didn't get much on it. Tomlinson in front looking for King. Juneau overskates it. Jets still control it. Domi to Tomlinson. Back to Domi for King in front. Behind the Boston net. King waiting. Penalty upcoming. And I think it'll go to Tomlinson of the Jets.
Tomlinson has skated over toward the penalty box. Rob Schick is calling a tripping penalty. Ray Bourque was in front. Tomlinson took his feet out. Takes the tripping penalty.
Penalty number 11, Dave Tomlinson, given it for tripping.
Bourque in front of the net. Tomlinson's there, kicks his feet out, and takes the tripping penalty.
18:57. Time of the tripping penalty to Tomlinson. John Paddock back on the Jets bench. Rejoined the team just prior to last night's game in Hartford. Has been bothered by bronchitis and still has a noticeable cough. But he's behind the Jets bench tonight.
I think a win would probably help his bronchitis feel better.
Randy Gillen shooting it in. Both teams 1 for 1 with the man advantage. Less than a minute to go in period 1. Ray Bourque leads the Bruins to center. To Smolinski. Stick handling in against Numminen. Had it knocked away. Juneau behind the net. Neely setting up in front. Cam Neely already with 7 game winners this year. That leads the NHL in limited action. Smolinski behind the net. Looking for Neely. Gives it to Bourque instead. Edge of the circle. His shot deflected over top of the goal. Wesley from the left point. Bumps with Gillen. Juneau to Bourque in the middle. His shot. Hit Quintel in front, and the puck is cleared down the ice by Randy Gillen. Bourque to Juneau. Time ticking down in the first 13 seconds. Neely in the slot. He's leveled by Igor Ulanov. And the Jets shoot it down. 5 seconds in the period. Bourque to Wesley. He looks, long shot. Tipped by one of the Jets. Knocked to the corner by O'Neill. And the siren sounds to end the first period.
Good start for the Winnipeg Jets. They were all over the Boston Bruins in the first 10 minutes, and then a questionable penalty got the Bruins involved, and we're in for a high-scoring game.
Quintel, Gillen, and Solani in the first for the Jets. Donato, Bourque, and Sweeney for the Boston Bruins. It's 3-3 after 1.
A very interesting first 20 minutes in Boston as the Jets are all even with the Bruins at 3. And if you missed it at home, the first 42 games of the season for the Jets, well, in game number 43, the first 20 minutes, you saw what the Jets have been doing in the first 42. Jordy Douglas, they get a lead. They lose a lead.
Yep.
Specialty teams weak. Defensive play weak. Goaltending kind of questionable. We saw it all in that first
You see a little bit of everything.
Yes.
You know, you get the Reader's Digest version of the game here. It's a Cole's Notes version. Everything's happening to the Jets. Good thing for the Jets, they're scoring some goals. Boston's a good place for them to get some goals. Everything happens so quick. You can't afford to make a mistake. It happens. They're going to capitalize on you really fast, Boston is. They have. And Winnipeg, fortunately, is doing the same thing the other way.
And you thought about scoring quick, and the Jets certainly did that, jumping out to a 2-0 lead. Stefan Quintal changing his number to number 4, and boy, did he look like Bobby Orr on this goal.
He just gets right into play, and in a small rink, like I said, this is where you can get the defense in the play. He comes charging up, and that's set up with Shannon and Steen forcing the defense back and stopping the D so that when he comes in, a big man, big reach, he can get around everybody and just swoop right in there.
All right, then the Jets made it 2-0, goal by Randy Gillen, but Kaminsky, the rookie, making the play here.
Well, you know, here's a situation we talked about. Keith Tkachuk is the type of guy who goes to the net all the time. Guess what? Kaminsky goes charging to the net, causes all kinds of traffic, and in comes Gillen for an empty net or 6x4. Easy goal for them.
All right, the Jets had the lead at that point, but then they get a questionable penalty, as John Garrett said, and the Tide turns as the Bruins score a quick power play goal, score another goal to tie it, and then shorthanded goal to take the lead.
This one really hurts because it's 4-on-3, and all they have to do is mark the man. Pick up the men, Boston players, until you get control of the puck, then turn it up the ice. And you see that they're not. They're looking for open ice when they don't have the puck. And you can't afford to do that. The rink's too small.
But the Jets, to their credit, come back, and it's on a power play, and they capitalize.
Yeah, this is just fortunate work. They work hard along the boards. They dig it out. Solani's out in front sleeping, like, not sleeping in the sense of not being awake, but in a good spot. They don't see him, and it's a perfect goal scorer's goal. He's just there, bang, bang, it's in the net.
All right, what can we expect from the Jets and the Bruins in the second period?
Next goal wins. It's a situation. This is good for the Jets. It doesn't hurt them. I mean, they need to score goals. They haven't scored a lot of goals. They need confidence, and players get confidence by getting around the net, getting chances, and especially scoring goals. So let's hope they continue doing that.
All right, Jordy Douglas, be interesting to hear your comments after the second period. Coming up next, we'll feature Jets assistant coach Andy Murray. The Jets and the Bruins all tied at 3. Our first intermission continues right after this. The Jets and Bruins tied at 3 at the Boston Garden. First intermission continuing here on CKND. And the Winnipeg Jets feature a unique coaching staff. 2 homegrown coaches, one of them John Paddock, and his assistant, Andy Murray.
5 dark blues, 5 light blues down here. Let's get a game going. Bill, you got a puck?
My father played on the intermediate team in Souris, and I used to get on the ice with them after practices and before practices when I was 3 and 4. And like any other Canadian kid from a small town in the West in particular, we got a lot of ice time. And as soon as the ice was frozen on the river, we were out skating on the river.
All right, we got lines of 2 here, or 2 guys going together. Other end, back to the blue line here. All right, let's go.
After playing through the Souris minor system, Murray played for the Brandon Bobcats. After graduation, while working for his father's car dealership, the call to coaching came from the Brandon Travelers Junior Club.
I think I was actually 23 when I started coaching the Travelers, so I was a fairly youthful coach. And I can remember one trip back from Selkirk one night. It was at Christmas time, and I'd kind of promised the boys that we would maybe pick up a case of beer, and I went in to get it, and they wouldn't let me buy the beer. I had to send one of my players that was a little bit older looking. So I really enjoyed the coaching right from the beginning. And at that time, I really didn't see it as a career opportunity. But once I got into it, I felt that that's something I'd really like to do professionally.
I'm going to give you the puck. I'm going to give Dean the puck. He's going to give it to you. You can't move until you get the puck, okay?
Murray returned to the Bobcats as their head coach and led them to a #1 national ranking, which gained him a reputation in global coaching circles.
The European content being such a part of the international game now, and I felt that going to Europe would be a great opportunity, and this agent was able to arrange a contract for me, and I went over to Switzerland on a 1-year leave of absence from my job at the university and my job at the dealership, and I ended up staying for 7 years. Dealing with the pressure in Switzerland where you're playing about a 30 or 36 game schedule, if you lose 1 or 2 games, it's a major catastrophe over there. So I had to deal with the pressures of management, with the media, and I think it was great preparation for coming back to North America and dealing with the situation here. They're saying that 5 of our 6 defensemen can't play, and that we've only got about 3 or 4 forwards that can play, and our goaltenders are brutal, and we need a new coach, we need new assistants, the GM's got to go. I mean, I think somebody said in the dressing, the key thing is for the team to stick together right now, stay behind each other, because I'll tell you, anybody that's been through situations like this, it only makes the good times better. Because these people in this city will be stroking us on the back and patting us on the back and we get things rolling here. We're right on the verge right now with the kind of hockey we've played the last couple of games of really turning this thing. The key thing is to remember that hockey is a game, and sometimes we as coaches take ourselves too seriously, and I think it's important that you have fun, and I think if you expect your players to be motivated and enthusiastic about the game, you have to make sure that you're that way yourself. And for me, to be quite honest with you, I get just as much of a high out of seeing a good practice run and seeing how the players work in practice as I do with the game, because the players play the games. Our job is basically in practice and that. So, I try to make sure that I come to the rink every day enthusiastic and try to make sure that that type of an image rubs off on some of the other players and that type of thing. So it's just a lot of fun being involved with the hockey team. How'd you feel last night? I could see certainly staying in Winnipeg. We're very happy here. I think coming back to Manitoba and being close to family and friends is just a great feeling after being away for 12 years. And certainly my wife has really been supportive. I mean, we've moved our family from Europe to North America, back to Europe again, and we've moved to a couple of different, or 3 different North American cities. So, I think she's a very flexible and understanding person. And I remember a few years ago I told her that if she took this level 3 coaching course so she could understand my job a little bit better, we'd take this formal dance course. Well, she took the coaching course, and unfortunately I haven't had time to take the formal dancing course yet, but she's a fine person, and I feel very fortunate.
Well, the Jets are doing a lot of dancing in the first period. Coming up next, we'll have the MTS out-of-town scoreboard.
Welcome back to Boston Garden. The Jets and Bruins tied at 3 after 20 minutes of play, and here is a summary of the first period. Jets jumped to a 2-0 lead on Quintel's 5th and Gillen's 6th. Bruins got on the board on a power play. Donato scoring his 10th at 10:15, then Ray Bourque with his 12th at 15:32. Bruins took the lead on a shorthanded goal by Don Sweeney at 16:42, but Teemu Selanne replied on the power play for the Jets at 18:05. Jets out shooting the Bruins 11-9. In a pretty wide-open first period, John.
It turned out to be a wide-open period after the 10-minute mark. Dave Tomlinson still in the penalty box. The Bruins have a power play for the next 57 seconds. And that started the woes for the Jets. Bruins power play. That first one got them right back into the game.
Really turned the tide, you're right. Jets controlling the first 10 minutes of the opening period. Bruins starting the second on a power play, as John mentioned. Ray Bourque with 3 points in the first period leads them to center. On the right side for Juneau. Back to Bourque at the point. Quick shot. Came right in front. Donato after it. Isabart clears the puck down the ice for the Jets. 30 seconds remaining in the penalty to Dave Tomlinson. Wesley back to Bourque. Fakes the shot as he hit the line. Across for Wesley. Puck came to Nelson Emerson to Isabart, and he sweeps it into the Boston zone. 10 seconds remaining in the Bruins' man advantage. Emerson checking Bourque. He steals it from him behind the net. Emerson couldn't come in front. Tkachuk for the Jets to Kennedy. Weak shot. Emerson tipped it, and Casey held it long enough to gain a whistle from Rob Schick, and the penalty is over to Tomlinson.
Much better penalty killing for the Jets. More aggressive. Nelson Emerson in the offensive zone, forcing Ray Bourque off the puck. Killing precious time. Take the man. Emerson comes up with the puck. Tkachuk sets up the play, and Emerson has a good chance in front. Tkachuk to the point. To Emerson in front. Doesn't know he's going to be hit. Doesn't pull the trigger, and doesn't get the shot on John Casey.
Nelson Emerson still leads the NHL in shorthanded goals with 5, but he's also struggled offensively. His last goal, December 12th. Of course, he used to play for Brian Sutter in St. Louis. He and Quintel. 2-line offside pass on the Bruins with 1:09 having been played in the second period.
Dave Reed's 20 goals last year. Killing penalties and playing on a regular shift. Became a good role player and then moved himself up by scoring those 20 goals onto the second and third line. Moved back down to the fourth line. Before the game, a presentation was made by Dennis Potvin to Ray Bourque. He led the Bruins last year at +38. Played almost 9 minutes in that first period, and that is just like Ray Bourque. Even plays more than that in most games, usually in that 35 to 37 minute area. And when you've got a Ray Bourque, you can afford to play your defenseman around him, and you usually end up playing only 4.
Came into tonight's game at +2. Reed for Hines. He was checked by Teemu Selanne. Shannon can't get his stick free from Stanton, and it's Reed in his own zone for the Bruins. Selanne and Shannon forechecking for the Jets. Reed to Hines. Mironov on top of him. Jets looking for the loose puck. Selanne has it in the corner. Checked by Sweeney. Hines deep in his own zone. Selanne forechecking. Has it behind the net. Boughton moving in from the point. Selanne for Mironov, but the pass was behind him. Jets had the right idea, but the pass didn't click. O'Neill to Selanne. He tips it off the glass into Bruins territory. Featherstone backing up to John Morris. David Shaw. Spilled by Chris King. And Shaw's been hurt. Reed taking exception, but I thought it was a pretty clean hip check by Chris King.
Shaw tried to go around King. Shaw just back from that pinched nerve. Steve Leach did not come back to the bench. Chris King is getting a penalty. Leach already hurt for the Bruins, and now it looks like David Shaw as he's being helped off the ice. David Shaw tries to go around Chris King. King gets the knee out along with the hip. King sees Shaw, gets the leg out, catches Shaw just above the knee, and Shaw is in obvious pain. This might be a 5-minute penalty against Chris King, as King got the knee out, and yes, he is going to get a 5-minute penalty. King complains. His complaints will fall on deaf ears.
A major to Chris King. Well, you can see by the replay that he did get his leg out. John Paddock staring at the ceiling. I don't know if that deserved a major, John.
Shaw is definitely hurt on the play, and I think that's why the 5-minute major is being called. Not much intent on Chris King's part. Shaw looked up, saw him at the last minute, tried to go around him, stuck the leg out and got him.
So a major to the Jets from Boston Garden, your Molson Dry telecast.
For different reasons.
They've got a UFO here, and they'll do anything to keep it a secret.
One a skeptic, one a believer, both trying to answer questions that were never meant to be uncovered.
Your lives may be in danger. You've seen things that weren't to be seen.
Position 10 requesting backup.
You both know what's out there.
The X-Files.
David Shaw on the chair behind the spare goaltender. Shaw looks up, tries to avoid King. King gets the leg out, hits Shaw just above the knee. Chris King is in the penalty box for 5 minutes.
Well, a power play turned the tide in the first for the Bruins, and now they have 4 minutes and 52 seconds with a man advantage in a 3-3 tie early in the second. Ray Bourque shooting it in. O'Neill stops it behind the net for Teppo Numminen, and he coolly sends the puck down the ice. Casey to Bourque. To Wesley behind the net. Wesley hands it off to Bourque at center. Forced by Numminen at the line. Bork for Neely off his skate. Juneau back to Bork at his own line. His power play starting out slowly for the Bruins. Neely back to Bork at the line. His shot off Quintel's stick to the corner. Darren Shannon for the Jets to Eisebart. He would have been one-on-one against Bork, but couldn't control it. Juneau turning at the line. He has a couple of points tonight. Lost the puck. Quintel into Bruins territory.
Jets doing a much better job standing up at the blue line. The Bruins don't like to ring the boards, don't like to shoot it in. The Jets standing 4 across the blue line and keeping the Bruins out.
3:42 in the major penalty. Bork drives it in. Randy Gillen back to Ulanov. Off Bork, stick it out. Paul Stanton retreating in his own zone to Wesley. Gillen checked him. Bruins can't get organized, at least in the first 135 of this man advantage. Stanton high off the glass. Eagles kicks it behind the net to Ulanov around the board. Stanton was there to Wesley. Slap shot, hit just wide. Rebound, Smolinski on the short side. O'Neill down. Puck is still loose. And finally a stoppage with a meeting of several players at the side of the Jets' goal.
After the shoot-in, the Jets had a chance to get it out. Ulanov couldn't get the puck high on the boards. Kept in by the Bruins. And a good scoring chance. Mike O'Neill showing his strength along the ice. After the rebound comes off the backboards, O'Neill gets down strong on the ice. Covers the short side, makes the save on Smolinski, and hangs on to the puck.
The Bruins get Neely, Donato, and Juneau back on the ice. They started this advantage. Wesley and Bork, the number 1 power play unit. 3:12 left in the major penalty to Chris King.
Trade, Bob Kudelski has been traded from the Ottawa Senators to Florida. The old Jet, Evgeny Davidov, heads to Ottawa.
And another Jet, former Jet, Scott Levens. And a couple of draft picks. Jets will be happy to hear that. Ottawa's their next opposition on Saturday night. Kudelski having a fine season for the Senators. Bork to Wesley. Into the Jet zone, tried to pass it off to Donato. Hit Kachuk's stick, went over the glass and into the crowd. Some Bruin fans happy that they have a 94 souvenir.
Kudelski, a free agent at the end of the year in the Ottawa Senators. Didn't think they could afford to sign him. David Shaw is headed to the Bruins dressing room, in behind the Bruins bench. Being helped. He can't put any weight on that leg. He is in obvious pain.
The Bruins down 2. Leach and Shaw. 3-3 tie. 2:49 left in the major to Chris King. Ray Bork dumped it in on the right side. Hard for Juneau. He gets to it in the corner. Centered it for Neely. Went right between his skates. And Emerson shot at the center. Wesley to Bork. He slaps it in off O'Neill's stick. Juneau to it in the left corner. Back for Wesley at the point. Juneau behind the goal. Centered for Neely. Came to Bork at the right point. A good move on Kachuk. Bork to Wesley at the line. Donato off the corner boards. Quintel slaps it off the glass and down the ice. And there's 2:12 remaining in the man advantage. Be a big lift for the Jets if they could ever kill this off. Wesley's pass picked off by Kennedy. Here's Eisebart. Good move into the slot. He shoots. But it was blocked by Donato. Casey came out to play, and Kennedy shoots. And Casey got his blocker on it. Very close to a bad mistake by Casey there. But he recovered.
Bruins have a short-handed goal, and the Jets almost had one there. Casey, not a very good puck handler.
Ray Bork fires it around the glass. Back to Stanton at the right point. His slap shot. Pad saved by O'Neill, and he pounces on it with Smolinski looking for it. 1:31 left in the power play.
Jets penalty killers much more aggressive, not giving the Bruins time to get set up, and doing a much better job in front of Mike O'Neill, clearing players out. Brian Smolinski was there, couldn't get to the rebound because the Jets defense was doing a good job in front of O'Neill. Shot comes through, O'Neill the save. Smolinski's there, Glenn Murray's there. Nobody can get to that puck. Good coverage by the Jets. You mentioned to Bruce how John Casey has to switch hands. There, switches hands, coughs it up to Dean Kennedy, but he got back in time to make the save.
Smolinski wins the draw from Randy Gillen. Ray Bourque moves to the middle. Wrist shot, snaps it in on O'Neill. And he holds on for another face-off. Ray Bourque shoots the puck a lot, and he'll shoot it from many different areas, won't he, John?
And when you have Cam Neely standing in front, as Bourque did on that play, it's not a bad play. Just direct it at the net, hope you get a rebound, or hope you get Cam Neely tipping it in.
You said Bourque played about 8.5 minutes in the first period. Seems he's played nearly every minute here in the second. Nearly 6 minutes in and a 3-3 tie. All the scoring in the first. 1:26 left in the Boston man advantage. Quintel came close to losing it behind the net. Bourque at the left point. Nifty little move on Gillen. Stanton's slap shot is blocked by Mike Eagles. Stanton to it along the boards. In the corner for Smolinski. Back to Stanton. A one-timer. Rolling puck. Nowhere near the net. Puck came off the dasher and poked out by Gillen. Juno nearly coughed it up in front. Tkachuk off the glass into the Bruins zone. Tkachuk had an exchange with Cam Neely. Smolinski to Juno. 45 seconds in the advantage. Neely in the corner to Stanton. To the other corner now. Neely and Tkachuk collided again. Juno pushed off the puck by Quintel. He flips it on the glass. Stanton in the corner. He was pitching for the Bruins. Smolinski setting up in front. To the point for Bourque. Here's Stanton in the slot. Shoots. Rebound to Neely. Hit the post, I think, where O'Neill got a piece of it. Schick right there to wave it off. Neely after it again. There's a shot. And a save by O'Neill on Stanton. Now the Bruins getting some pressure with 9 seconds in the advantage. Neely in front. He's on his backhand. And it poked away by Quintel. Bourque at the left point. Lets the shot go. Hit Quintel in front. Now Juno and the Jets are back to full strength. Keith Tkachuk to Nelson Emerson. His shot. Easy stick save for Casey. So the Jets kill off that 5-minute advantage for the Bruins. Morris. Dipsy doodling through center. Put it behind the net. Boughton. One hands it for Solani. Stewart is there. Bumped on the boards by Solani. Mironov for Winnipeg. 12:13 to go, second period, and a 3-3 tie. Mironov shoots it in for the Jets. Steve is hit along the boards by Stewart. Boughton at the right point. The slap shot hits Sweeney in front, and Stewart tips it to center. Boughton to Shannon. On Sweeney to Glenn Featherstone. Sweeney again for Boston. He's been jumping up all night. Tried to leave the puck for Stewart. Hind side of the net. Centered it. No Bruin there. And here comes Shannon with Solani. Mironov joining the rush. Jets slowly across the line. Solani after right in. Shannon. Loose puck at the side of the net. Boughton can't put it in. Casey was down, but kept it out. And Sergei Boughton can't believe he couldn't find the open net. It's still 3-3 at Boston Garden.
It's all so boring here, Margot. There's nothing but playboys and tennis pros. If only I could find a real man.
Timothy Dalton.
I need to use your phone. She'll call you back.
Is 007.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
Mariam Dabo. Joe Don Baker. James Bond. The Living Daylights. Tuesday at 7:30.
One inmate sued because he wasn't allowed to use his cell for drug trafficking.
That was his headquarters, so therefore he should be able to operate his drug trafficking operation right out of his cell.
But to sue for the right to deal drugs in your cell is so stupid that why should the taxpayer have to pay to answer that?
At some point in time, we as a society have got to say, this craziness has to stop. The crisis is real for us.
2020, Friday at 9 on CKND.
John Casey hasn't looked comfortable tonight. Comes up with the save, and that's the bottom line. Loses his stick, reaches out with the blocker hand, and covers up. Jets had a 5-on-2 on that play and couldn't really get a good quality shot on John Casey.
Face off to the right of Casey. Tomlinson went down. Glenn Murray skated the puck to center. Zoltak. Chris King into the Boston zone looking for Domi, trying to go to the net. And he was held up by Wesley as Tomlinson has words with Zoltak. The Bruins rookie Russian.
Zoltak only weighs about 180 pounds, pushing Dave Tomlinson. I don't think he would want to drop the gloves against Tomlinson.
Well, this is the old Boston Garden. When will the new one be ready? It's just a few feet from here, John.
Year and a half.
Season,
one more year at this old Boston Garden, and then we'll move, as you say, right next door to the new Boston Garden.
Best place in the league to call a game. We're almost close enough we could be on the ice.
No thanks, I had enough of that.
King couldn't center it. Zoltak to center. Looking for Hughes. Stanton at his own line. Zoltak, quick shot. Trying to surprise Mike O'Neill. Domi failed to feed King. It's slapped in by Zoltak. Brent Hughes, former member of the Jets organization, led the Bruins in penalty minutes last season. Domi puts it behind the net. Casey to Ray Bourque. Nearing the midway mark of the second period in a 3-3 tie. Bourque watched by Darren Shannon. Pass through the middle for Cam Neely. Almost knocked down by Teemu Selanne. Neely centers it off the stick of O'Neill. Darren Shannon dumps it in for Selanne. To the other corner for Shannon. Bourque just let it go. Juneau with Mironov pinching. Selanne outside the line. Lost the puck to Cam Neely. To Ted Donato in on the left side. Fakes the shot against Boughton. Turning in the corner. To the other corner for Neely. In the slot, Donato shoots, scores!
Cam Neely gets his first point of the night. Bruins strong on the boards. You have to be strong on the boards here in the Boston Garden. You can't let the Bruins out-hit you. And the Bruins, Cam Neely, chips it out to Ted Donato, and Donato surprised Mike O'Neill. Puck goes around the boards. Cam Neely goes over, fights the battle along the boards with Ray Bourque, gets it to Donato, quick shot, screen. O'Neill couldn't pick it up.
Donato's 11th goal and second of the game. Big slop shot. There's another slopper by Bourque. That's steered aside by O'Neill. Emerson backhands it to center. Ray Bourque to Dave Reed. Smolinski back to Sweeney. Deflected off him right to Casey. Ray Bourque behind the net. Ray Bourque with another point, has 4 on the game. Hines to Reed. He flips it in. Stefan Gintel. To the point, Stanton, his slap shot, hit Nelson Emerson. Attempted to feed Tkachuk on the left side. Stanton got a stick in the way. 5 players between the benches, and they freeze it for a face-off.
Ted Donato getting more ice time with Adam Oates out of the lineup. Gets a chance after a nice play by Ray Bourque pinching in. Cam Neely just chips it to Ted Donato. Bourque pinches in. Neely just to Donato. Screen shot. Goes through Mike O'Neill, off his pad, under his arm. Goaltender lingo, that's the 14 hole. That space underneath your arm. Screen shot, O'Neill. As we said in the first period, you have to get ready very early as a goaltender here in the Boston Garden. Expect it when you least expect it. That time O'Neill, deep in his net, was beaten on a shot by Donato that, had he been out a little bit, probably would have hit him.
10:20 the time of the goal by Donato to give the Bruins their second lead of the game. Selanne down the right side for the Jets. Pinned on the boards by Sweeney. Bork ran into Gillen. Bork around for Cam Stewart. Kennedy kept it in at the right point. Gillen behind the goal to Solani in front. Eagles after it. Kicked away by Casey. John Morris. One hands it to Stewart. Murray trailing the play. Bork joining the attack. But Stewart went past the puck. Kennedy behind the goal for the Jets. Off the glass. Here's Solani down the right side. Stanton beats him to it in the Bruins zone. Cam Stewart near center. Here's Sweeney jumping up again. Ulanoff for the Jets. Off the glass. And out of play. Donato has the go-ahead goal in the second for the Bruins.
Why? Why bother? Why struggle? If you understand the rewards of effort, you'll appreciate the result of ours. And so today, tomorrow, forever, every Molson beer will be naturally aged and free of preservatives. Why? It's our way of making Canada's best beers better.
Brand names are important.
But getting best price is just as important.
You don't want to pay a lot just for a name.
But at Zellers, you don't. Zellers has low prices on everything.
Save 50% on selected infants and kids wear sets. Half price. Only Zellers has bed-in-a-bag ensembles now from only $49.97.
Brand names you can trust.
At a Zellers low price, you can't beat it, right?
You got it.
Only at your store. Zellers, 'cause the lowest price is the law every day.
Brand names, low prices.
And Club Med rewards. Why shop anywhere else?
John Paddock looks on. His team played a very good first period for the first 10 minutes, got in trouble. Here in the second period, their penalty killing very good. Killed off a 5-minute major to Chris King. And then one little mistake along the boards, and that's what happens here at the Boston Garden. And that's why the Bruins are so good here in their home building, because they take advantage of those mistakes. You have to be strong on the boards in this small rink.
Gillen and Zoltak for the face-off to the left of O'Neill, just at the edge of the circle. Exactly 8 minutes to go, second period. 4-3 Bruins. Randy Gillen shoots it in for the Jets. Casey handling it behind the net, rolls it to Zoltak. And a delayed offside against the Jets.
Jets during a change as Randy Gillen was out to take the face-off. He jumped off, and the player who jumped on was offside. Teemu Solani has had some jump tonight, had a couple of chances in the first period. Misses his centerman, as the rest of the Jets do.
Alexei Zhamnov expected to be out about another week. Stanton to Zoltak. Pass too high for Brent Hughes. Kennedy dumps it into the Bruins zone. Stanton back to collect it. Watched by Tomlinson. Stanton slaps it off the boards to center. Kennedy to Ty Domi. He's pushed offside by Brent Hughes, and Hughes has drawn a penalty for cross-checking Ty Domi.
Crowd doesn't like this one. Domi was trying to stay onside. Brent Hughes knocked him off.
Ty Domi joined us for lunch today at the hotel. John wanted us to say hello to his wife Leanne and new daughter Carlin Nicole, who was born just about a week ago. Ty also wanted to say hello to his mother-in-law, who's helping out at home right now, Tawny. And Ty just drew the penalty to Brent Hughes.
Most important person when your lovely bride comes home with the baby is the mother-in-law. And you hear all these mother-in-law jokes, but it's so helpful to have her around the house. As a hockey player, I know my two daughters were born, and my mother-in-law came down both times, and I'm sure Connie is handling those late-night feedings.
Jets on their second power play, trailing by a goal. Emerson and Mironov will play the points. Kachuk, Steen, and Solani up front. Solani shoots it in off the corner boards. Steen after it. Back to Emerson at the right point, over to Mironov, one-timer, didn't get much on it. Tkachuk and Solani took a whack at it. Here's Emerson, over to Mironov, another one-timer, high and wide. Steen to Solani in the corner. Attempted to feed Mironov at the point. Solani went down along the boards. Tkachuk to Solani. Mironov to Solani. Tkachuk in the slot. Steen with it. Checked by Sweeney. Mironov to Nelson Emerson. His slap shot is wide. Solani on the other side. And it hop over his stick. Sweeney to Donato with Reed. They're 2-on-1. Reed waits, shoots. And O'Neill made the stop. Donato knocks it down. His slap shot hit Mironov. Tkachuk for the Jets with 52 seconds left in the penalty to Brent Hughes. Tkachuk down the boards. Dumps it into the corner. Stanton trying to rip it out. One off Smolinski to Hines. And he shot it down. Emerson. His pass hit Wesley skates. Smolinski plays it in for Boston. Smolinski from the corner. Stanton slides it in deep, and the Jets have 20 seconds on the power play. Dave Tomlinson slaps it around the boards. Yzerberg in the corner with Hines. Tomlinson to Darren Shannon. He looks around. Into the slot. Hines intercepts for Boston.
Jets very casual without the puck on the power play. They've already given up one shorthanded goal and gave up a 2-on-1 with this man advantage.
Casey out to play it. Stopped by Gillen for Yzerberg. Puck's in the crease. And Casey's on top of it. Casey's been a little sloppy. You're watching the Jets live on CKND.
How did this farmer finally manage to get pigs to fly?
It was easier than I thought.
The one and only Yellow Pages. It all starts here.
I hope they write.
She's always been a skeptic.
Do you have a theory?
Do you believe in extraterrestrials? But since being assigned to the X-Files...
Distinguishing feature indicate subject is not human.
They give you a ticket. The promise of a good time. Big money. You're shown how it's done. It sounds so easy, especially with a Canadian passport. But what they don't tell you is the inside story. The inside of a foreign jail. What it's really like if you're caught transporting drugs. Think about it.
Don't miss our second intermission tonight. Studio analyst Jordy Douglas will be by. We'll have some Dirt Devil trivia for you and the Reimer Express out-of-town scoreboard. Second intermission, 5 minutes and 4 seconds away. Bruins 4 and the Jets 3. Juneau and Gillen for the faceoff. Jets win the draw. Ulanoff left point. His slap shot is tipped wide. Cam Stewart. Then Neely. He's with Juneau. Neely fakes the shot. Spun trying to split the defense. Stewart's pass off a skate. And out come the Jets. Gillen with Domi and Eagles. A 3-on-2. But Gillen mishandled it at the line on the call made by Mark Bynes.
Ty Domi went offside. He was expecting the pass from Randy Gillen. Gillen would have had to throw it on his backhand. Decided to carry it. A good call by Vines. Vines is getting some complaints from Gillen, but Ty Domi, who was offside, gives him a little pat on the side. Says, yeah, you're right. I was offside. Mike Eagles playing the wing on this line. Normally a center, as John Paddock has shuffled the deck, trying to get a little more production. And the Jets have been much more effective offensively. They've created some chances driving to the net.
Shots 19-16 Bruins at this point in the game. Lions been doing some ice repairs.
The new building, I've seen some models of the building, and it's going to be quite similar to the one they're building in Vancouver. State-of-the-art. 80 private boxes that have already been sold out. It will be much nicer. The history and all the tradition that goes along with it. It's too bad that the building's being torn down that way. but it would be nice to get into a much more modern facility.
Kind of nice if they turn the thermostat up a little there tonight. A little cool in the Boston Garden. Ray Bourque sends Stewart away to Cam Neely. Takes the shot against Ulanoff twice. Now centers it. Pass too hard for Juneau. Ty Domi. Flips it in against Featherstone. Domi giving chase. Puck came around the boards to Neely. To Juneau. 3-on-2 for the Bruins. Here's Juneau on the slot. A shot and a nice glove save by Mike O'Neill with Cam Stewart charging in looking for a rebound.
Joe Juneau, you can tell he's played center for much of his career. Played center his entire college career, but plays on a line when Adam Oates is healthy with Oates and Neely. Juneau to Neely, back to Juneau. Quick shot. Mike O'Neill standing well outside his crease. Makes the save on that one from Juneau. On the Donato goal, O'Neill was caught back in the crease, and it went through him. Where had he been out at the same place, it would have hit him.
No, John, the Bruins haven't been that dominant at Boston Garden. Unlike past years, 8-7-4 coming into tonight's game, but the Jets have really struggled on the road as of late. Reed in the corner with Tkachuk. Jets captain to Emerson for Yzerbark. Off the boards into the Bruins zone. Stanton hooked down by Tkachuk, and play will carry on. Stanton was looking for a penalty. Lead pass to Steve Hines. Down the left side, he went down. Dave Reed in the corner. Into the other corner, Boughton for Winnipeg. He shoots the puck the length of the ice. Wesley touches it, and it's icing Jets with 3:17 to go in the second period. Tkachuk has words with Smolinski.
Jets move on to play in Ottawa on Saturday night. The Ottawa Senators struggling at home, but then they move into Montreal for a game Monday night. Montreal playing much better now that Patrick Roy is back in their net. And then it's home for the Buffalo Sabres, a game that we will be seeing. Sabres playing much better defensively. Dominik Hasek piling up the shutouts. I wonder if he has shutout bonuses in his contract. Some of the Europeans that come over don't think of all the little fringe benefits that most North Americans do.
Neely and Gillen for the face-off to the left of O'Neill. Eppo Newman to Teemu Selanne at center. Selanne chips it in for Thomas Dean. He got around Sweeney, cutting for the net. Centers it. Selanne took a whack at it. Puck was deflected to the corner. Steen to Darren Shannon. Centers it. Selanne speared it at the net, and Casey made the stop. Cam Neely to center. Pass on the right side for Donato. Play broken up by Newman. Bourque to Sweeney. Donato dumps it in. Bounces over the stick of O'Neill. Neely in the corners. Donato's shot. And O'Neill just got a piece of that. Donato looking for the hat trick. Stanton drives it in. Cam Neely had a hat trick in the Bruins' last outing against Washington. A game they salted away early. Casey out to play the puck. Shannon goes down along the boards. Casey hasn't been afraid to gamble tonight, and he's nearly been caught a couple of times. Shannon dug it free. Selanne's shot. Try to put it under Casey. And he makes the save on the short side.
Teemu Selanne with a long, good shift. He has a goal already tonight and a couple of good scoring chances on this shift. But John Casey has settled down. The first period, he did not look very good, but he's played much better here in the second. Selanne goes to the net. Quick shot, tries to slide it through John Casey, but Casey holds his ground, stands up tall until the shot's made, and then covers it up. Thomas Steen walks right in. Tentative when you're not piling up the points. Normally Thomas Steen would have cut right in front and tried to tuck it away himself. Instead he chose to pass, and the Jets never had a shot on goal.
2:07 left in the period. Bruins 4 and the Jets 3. Ulanoff edge of the circle. His shot hit Tomlinson in front. Kicked it back for Domi. Tomlinson behind the goal with Smolinski. To Domi. Left the puck for Tomlinson. He was tied up by Smolinski. Dave Reed rolls it to center for Hines. Who slipped away from Ulanoff, right in front, back, and he scores! Smolinski.
Little mistakes on the Donato goal, big mistakes on the Smolinski goal. Steve Hines on Igor Ulanoff. Ulanoff tries for the hit, misses him completely. Smolinski on the backhand, quick shot. Most of the time, players pull that and try and deke the goaltender. I think that's what Mike O'Neill thought, that Smolinski would try and pull it by him. Instead, Smolinski on the backhand just snapped it in.
12th goal of the year for rookie Brian Smolinski. And the Bruins have a 2-goal advantage. Huge goal with the intermission nearing. Ray Bork to Wesley. Across to Bork. Lost control of the puck near center. Now backs up and clears the zone. Boughton spins away from a check by Brent Hughes. Morris pokes it ahead for Hughes. Good collision between he and Mironov. Mike Eagles trying to work down the boards. He was hooked by Bork, and Morris backhands it out. Mironov for the Jets. Puck handled by Casey to Ray Bork. Less than a minute to go in the second. It was tied at 3 after 1. Bruins have scored a couple here in the second. Boughton dumped his man at center, and the Bruin is down on the play. It's Brent Hughes.
Boughton nailed Hughes, and Hughes never came close to the puck. He's getting an interference penalty. Boughton is headed to the penalty box as he just nailed Brent Hughes, but the puck had already gone by Hughes. You like your team to be aggressive. The puck goes by Hughes, and in comes Sergei Boughton to flatten Hughes. That's an earlier hit on Hughes. Mironov on Brent Hughes, but Hughes got up after that one. And there, after the puck's already gone by Hughes, you can see the puck rolling in the picture. Boughton nails him, and Boughton gets the interference penalty.
Well, it appears Hughes will be all right. The Bruins have already lost Leach and Shaw tonight. And Hughes, under his own power, skates to the Bruins bench. He was rocked by Sergei Boughton, who's in the box for a couple of minutes.
Frustration of the Winnipeg Jets. You like your team to be aggressive, but you're only down 2 goals. And if the Bruins power play connects here, it'll be a giant hole to try and climb out of in the third period.
Neely, Juneau, Donato, Wesley, and Bork on the Bruins power play. 43.3 seconds to go in the second. Neely won the face-off to Wesley. For Bork, and it's poked out by Eisebart. Teppo Newman hops on it for the Jets. For Eisebart, Juneau was back-checking on the play. Juneau and Newman got tangled up in the corner. Donato to Bork. 23 seconds remaining in the period. Bork to center. Turns back. He'll try it again. Jets challenging at the line. Juneau carries it in. Donato to the corner. To Juneau along the boards. 6 seconds in the period. Bork shot high. Bounced off O'Neill. Where's the puck? It's behind the net. Now they center it for Neely. And Gillen played it out.
Jets an aggressive period. Looks like the Jets are going to get another penalty as Rob Schick skates over to the timer's box. Jets could be 2 men short to start the third period.
Coming up next, Joe Pascucci and Jordy Douglas. The score after 2, the Bruins 5 and the Jets 3.
Well, the Boston Bruins, with 2 goals in that second period, have jumped out in front of the Winnipeg Jets by a score of 5-3. And let's show you the second goal in that period for the Bruins by Smolinski.
Yeah, this is what happens here. Kennedy pinches down on the boards, and the puck just gets by him. But you can see there's a big gap in the ice. All of a sudden, it's at center ice, and you see the guys now start doing a little fishing. They're not playing the bodies. They're doing a little chasing of the puck, and all of a sudden, it's back on a Boston stick again. That right there, you got to mark your man. Get control of the puck before you start trying to turn it up the ice, and right there, cost them a goal. They got to stop the puck, or stop the man, then get the puck and go.
All right, what can we say about the Jets in that second period? They kill off the 5-minute advantage, but didn't gain anything from it.
Yeah, you wonder about that. They take a 5-minute penalty. They kill it off very well. They do what they have to. They don't give up any chances till the last 30 seconds of the penalty, and then nothing happens after that to them. They don't get motivated. They don't change their game anything. They're not excited about it. It's almost like a lack of emotion. It's like, well, we did what we had to do, and now we'll just keep playing and see what happens. And you had an opportunity there to turn the game around, or at least get some momentum, and they just kind of waited to see what was going to happen.
Now, you've played on struggling teams in your NHL career. What do general managers do at this point? They have certain options. What do they do?
It is tough. I mean, everybody you talk to in the city, they've all got an idea of what might happen. This should, a trade or something. At some point in time, you got to stop considering that this is a building year or the team's been built. You got to look at it and say, look, either we got to fix what's happening here, or we got to take it apart. Something's not working here. Whether it's the players, whether it's the management, they got to get some emotion. They got to get to the point they want to put that Jet uniform on and they want to win. And you just don't see that little extra that we saw last year, for an example. We don't see the guys continually and consistently going to the net, and the guys skating hard and taking the good shots and chasing down the rebounds. We get excited when it happens every now and then. This is something that should happen all the time, and you really wonder as a fan, what do you got to do, or what would a GM or a coach do to turn that around? That is really, really tough.
All right, having said that, what does John Paddock quickly tell the players in between periods to get them motivated for the third?
You sit there and you wonder, he's probably said everything imaginable, Joe. I mean, I'm sure he's been emotional in there. I'm sure he's been quiet. Somewhere in there, the guys have to look at themselves and absolutely be upset. There's nobody that I see right now embarrassed by what's happening. They had a good opportunity last night in Hartford, a team they've had a good record over the years with. Tonight in Boston, they got an opportunity again. No emotion. It's like there's nothing there right now driving them, and that's scary because you're wondering what they're doing or what they're going to have to do to turn it all around. They really do have to turn it around.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets didn't turn it around in that second period. They trailed the Boston Bruins 5-3. Coming up next, the CKND News Update plus Dirt Devil Trivia.
NHL record for the most games in a regular season by a goaltender? We'll have the answer right after this. Who holds the NHL record for most games in a regular season by a goaltender? Need a hint? He's playing in his 13th NHL season and with his third team. He also holds the NHL record for most points in a season by a goaltender with 14. He won the Vezina Trophy in 1988 and played a key role in the Edmonton Oilers dynasty in the 80s.
Random against Fuhrer, and what a stop!
We had a lot of good guys playing with us, so winning is always a lot of fun, and as long as you're winning, it makes the game go by a lot quicker.
Grant Fuhrer is regarded by many as one of the best goalies in NHL history. His durability is one of his greatest assets, and in 1987-88, he appeared in 75 regular season games, an NHL record for goaltender. Another Red Hot Trivia brought to you by the Red Hot family. 3 after 2 periods of play, and it's just like my old buddy John Garrett to want to talk about the goaltenders in tonight's game. Mike O'Neill making his first start of the season for the Jets. He faced 14 shots in the second period, John.
especially during the penalty kill, that 5-minute major to Chris King, Mike O'Neill looked very good. He hasn't had a whole lot of help. There's been a lot of deflection goals, but he has been strong. And by strong, I mean goaltenders, if you are going to take away the bottom of the net, you cannot let the puck go through you. And Mike O'Neill displays that ability. Shot from the point, he doesn't know the boards, it comes off the boards very quickly, but he's strong along the ice, gets down and makes sure the puck doesn't go through him. And you can tell a goaltender when he's struggling, that's what happened. The puck goes through him, even though he's down.
Bruins goalie John Casey has done a little wandering tonight, and it's nearly cost him a couple of times.
He has not looked comfortable all night, but he is one of those goalies that switches hands. I used to have to do it, a right-hand shot catching with your left hand. It takes a lot more time, and you don't get much on it. But he does it very, very often. You can tell, and he's not afraid to get out of his net. But he knows how to recover, and you can see him recover. He knows he makes a lot of mistakes when he handles the puck, so he gets ready to recover. And he makes a good save after he gives the puck away. Gives the puck away, gets set again, quickly, in position, and makes the save.
Bruins with a couple of goals in that second period. They lead the Jets 5-3. Third period action is next. You're watching the Jets live on CKND. Welcome back to the historic Boston Garden, as they like to call it in these parts. It's the Bruins 5 and the Jets 3 as we get ready to start the third period. And Jets will start the period shorthanded. Sergei Boutin has 1:17 to serve in his interference penalty. Stefan Quintel dumps the puck down the ice. The Bruins power play. Neely, Juneau, Donato, Wesley, and Bourque. Bruins without leading scorer Adam Oates tonight. Newman bumped in the corner by Donato. Neely for Juneau. He's tied up by Eisebart. Can't get to the puck. Newman into the point. Bourque moving up. Slap shot. And a nice glove save by Mike O'Neill on Ray Bourque. 2 goals by the Bruins in the second period. Donato's second of the night, 11th of the season from Neely and Bourque at 10:20. That was Bourque's 4th point of the game. And then Smolinski's 12th at 18:20 from Hines and Reed. Bruins out shooting the Jets 14-8 in the second. And they have a 23-19 advantage heading to the third. Now 24-19 after that shot by Raymond Bourque. 47 seconds in the power play. Newman around the boards for Eagles, and the puck comes out. Glenn Wesley at his own line. Across to Bourque, who played 12.5 minutes in the second period. Now 21 in the game, John.
Played the full 5-minute major to Chris King. Steve Leach is gone for the Bruins. He left in the first period. David Shaw is a Charlie horse. He left in the second period. Mike Modano, we hear, has a major knee injury received tonight in the Dallas game. They're playing at home against Philadelphia tonight. Modano off to a great start this season, turning into the superstar that everybody thought he was going to be, and that would be a major setback for the Dallas Stars.
Quintel sends the puck down the ice. Ray Bourque with Shannon forechecking. The Jets have not won a game this season when trailing after 2 periods. And they're down 2 here in Boston. Juneau in the slot for Neely. Teppo Newman cut that off. Wesley left point, fakes the shot against Eagles. To Bourque in the middle. Back to Wesley, edge of the circle. Juneau from the corner, watched by Quintel. Bourque winding up. His shot bounced off a Jet. Eagles giving chase with Shannon. Shannon goes to the net, but Eagles couldn't get him the puck. Shannon back to Kennedy at his own line as the Jets kill off that penalty to Sergei Boutin. Shannon chips it to the line. Featherstone for the Bruins. To Paul Stanton. He missed Smolinski with a pass. Kulinoff back for it. Icing waved off. Thomas Steen starting out for the Jets with Tkachuk and Shannon. Hands it off to Tkachuk. He was checked by Featherstone. Steen turns and shoots. Casey handled that. Flipped it over the stick of Solani to Hines. Now to Dave Reed. He poked it past Mironov. Boutin in his own zone. Failed to clear it. Hines along the boards. Takes the shot. Went for the far corner. Didn't miss by much. Solani steals it from Featherstone. Solani right in. Casey comes out to poke check him. Solani knocked down. Pokes it to the boards. We talked about Casey, who's been wandering all night. And on that play, he made the right move, John.
Gambled and won. Teemu Selanne thought he'd have more time. Casey was right on him.
Boy, that could have been a big goal for the Jets early in the third. Had Casey not won that gamble. Hines to center, long shot. Directed away by Mike O'Neill. Selanne through center for Tkachuk. Attempted to split the defense, but didn't have the puck. Port to Murray on the right side. Gets around Kennedy, centers it, but Morris had a stick lifted by Ulanoff. Hughes runs into Ulanoff behind the net. Hughes slashed Ulanoff, and I think Rob Schick saw it. Jets power play coming up. This is your Molson Dry telecast.
You got it. All the best of the season from Park Pontiac.
It's a sweetheart of a deal. Now, for a limited time only, Park Pontiac is offering Sweet Nothings. No down payment, no payments for 90 days, and no interest for 90 days. Offer ends soon, so hurry down to Park Pontiac for your Sweet Nothings.
You got it, Park Pontiac.
You got it. The best of the season from Park Pontiac.
You know, when you think about it, we've done more laundry, cleaned more dishes, we've washed more cars, scrubbed more floors, babied more faces. And there's very little doubt that we've done more deliveries than anyone else, too. Well, almost. We're citywide water heater service, and with no extra charge for weekend or evening service, we keep Winnipeg in hot water.
Brent Hughes, who was flattened late in the second period, obviously not in a very good mood to start this third period, gets a slashing penalty on Igor Ulanov, an obvious one called by Rob Schick. Teemu Selanne with that good scoring chance. He has had a lot of jump tonight, a lot of good scoring chances. Here's one. John Casey gets there in a hurry, gets the hand out. Good poke check by John Casey at the top of the circles.
Good chance for the Jets here. Selanne, Steen, Tkachuk, Emerson, and Newman. Depo to Selanne. Donato had lost his stick. Newman slap shot, gloved by Casey. He'll hold it with Steen standing in front. Newman trying to take advantage of Donato, who was scrambling to find his stick.
Dave Reed went down to block that shot, so Newman had to get it high. Casey picked it up. Once it got over Reed, just snagged it, gets a whistle. Thomas Steen has played pretty well tonight. We talked about Thomas in the opening. He got his first point, had a couple of other chances. Looks a lot stronger. You never know with Thomas, because he does play through injuries, how badly that groin has affected his play.
Steen and Smolinski on the face-off, won by Steen. Emerson moving in from the right point. Had his pass hit the stick of Smolinski and come out. Teppo Numminen to Steen. Numminen to Teemu Selanne. Stick handles into the Boston zone. Port to the point. Emerson controls it there. In the corner to Steen. Back to Emerson. Over to Numminen. The slop shot off the skate of Reed wide. Steen in the corner. Behind the net, Ray Bork is there. Around for Reed. Numminen trying to pinch, and Reed neatly backhands it to center. 1:12 remaining in the Jets' power play. Selanne. Miss Steen with the pass. Casey stops it behind the net for Ted Donato. Around to Reed. Couldn't clear it against Emerson. Selanne waiting in the slot. Tkachuk to the front of the net. It came to Emerson in the circle. To Steen at the point. The slop shot just wide. Selanne off the backboards. Couldn't put it in. Selanne was dumped. Emerson pitching in from the point. Tkachuk for the Jets. To Steen. Comes off the corner boards looking for Numminen. Good play by Donato to walk it down the ice. Numminen moved it quickly to Selanne. He missed the pass. Wesley back to touch it, and the Jets guilty of icing with 29 seconds to go in their man advantage.
Good pressure by the Jets on the power play. Ted Donato has a big night going offensively and also defensively. killing penalties along with Dave Reed. Donato, good anticipation, and penalty killers have to have that. Picked off the pass, clears it all the way down and gets a change. Brian Sutter complimenting Donato and Reed on the job they were doing penalty killing. The Bruins were having trouble with Keith Tkachuk in front of the net. Don Sweeney was on him, and just a mismatch in size and strength. But the Jets couldn't get any shots so that Tkachuk could get the deflections or the screen.
Puck rolled just wide. 24 seconds left in this man advantage for the Jets. Boris Mironov has 15 of his 21 points on the power play heading into tonight's game as Mironov dumped it in. Stanton behind the goal. Around for Smolinski. Shannon couldn't keep it onside. Mironov to Quintel. Wesley brought it in, but the Bruins offside as Hughes stepped out of the penalty box. Jets 1 for 3 with the man advantage.
Glenn Wesley has played very well for the Bruins here tonight and throughout his long career, and he came over. People talk about the Cam Neely trade and they bury Peterson for Cam Neely, but they forget that also on that trade a draft pick, and that draft pick was Glenn Wesley. So it was quite a good trade for the Boston Bruins and not so good for the Vancouver Canucks.
Wesley went 3rd overall in '87, drafted after Pierre Turgeon and Brendan Shanahan, who turned out to be pretty fair NHLers, as has Wesley. Ulanov for the Jets. They trail 5-3. We're 5 minutes into the third period. Cam Neely slides it back to Sweeney, who's had a strong game for Boston tonight. Cam Stewart charging in on the left side against Kennedy. Thrown to the ice by the Jets' assistant captain, Emerson. Elbowed Sweeney. Neely into the slot. Ulanov was there. Neely knocks him down. Here's Neely all alone in front. Judo back to Neely, and it's shot wide. One of the Bruins took a run at Nelson Emerson, who's down behind the net. Ulanov mixing it up with Neely.
I think Cam Stewart's going to get thrown out of this game for hitting from behind. As Rob Schick comes over to check with Emerson, and Stewart's gone. A cheap shot run hit from behind by Cam Stewart, and he's going to be gone.
So we'll sort out the penalties and let you know what happened when we come back to Boston Garden.
My best friend Lily, she moved to the east with her daughter. She's funny, organized, and very picky. She sent them to me that calendar and mark each day when we're supposed to call each other. Saturday, 7 o'clock, call me. I feel like talking on Thursday, so I call her.
With an MTS long-distance savings plan, you can save up to 60% and afford to call as often as you want.
Oh, that makes her so crazy.
You deserve the best long distance in the world.
I like that.
There are hundreds of ways to get in shape and hundreds more to stay in shape. You'll find them all at Athlete's Wear. Save $161 on a Diversified Products treadmill with 1 horsepower motor, built-in computer, and shock-absorbing surface. Now only $6.99. Make the right choice. Athlete's Wear, 145 Market, Pembina at Grant, and 860 St. James Street across from the arena.
The choice is there. Athlete's Wear.
Cam Stewart's gone, as we said. Rob Schick made the motion immediately as Stewart came flying in and hit Nelson Emerson from behind. Ulanov has the puck, hit by Cam Neely. That's a good hit. No penalty on that play. Neely, hands down, hits Ulanov in the chest. Stewart comes flying in, hits Emerson from behind, and he's gone for the night. Good call by Rob Schick, and you can see the motion right there by Schick. He knows Stewart's gone immediately. He was pointing to the dressing room. He didn't even check with Emerson to see if he was all right. Stewart's gone.
So a terrific chance for the Jets. Neely's been after Ulanov ever since he attempted to hit him low in the first period. I said we'd sort out the penalties, just the one penalty, the checking from behind major to Cam Stewart. So the Bruins had a similar opportunity in the second on a penalty to Chris King. And now the Jets down by a pair. have an opportunity to get right back in the hockey game should they click on the power play. Solani is stood up by Sweeney. Solani looks at Rob Schick for a penalty, doesn't get the call. Newman into Mironov.
Sweeney had his hands right in Solani's face.
Now Sweeney has the puck and slaps it down the ice. Mironov to Newman. Back to Mironov. Bruins being very aggressive to start this penalty kill. Mironov around the board, Solani waiting for it. To Newman at the point, in front, tipped by Tkachuk, just wide. Mironov at the right point, to Newman. Now to Solani. Thought about shooting, then hung on to it. Into the slot for Tkachuk, off the stick of Smolinski. He breaks out, Hines trying to join him 2-on-1. Smolinski shoots, went for the far corner, missed the target. Bruins do have a shorthanded goal tonight.
Played very well by Teppo Newman in the 2-on-1. He let Smolinski take the shot. Mike O'Neill came out, and the shot went wide.
Nelson Emerson recovered from the hit by Cam Stewart. Ray Bourque rolls it up the boards. Kentell waiting at the right point. Put it in deep for Yzerbark. Puck along the boards. Mironov is pinching. Bourque also after it. Battle for the puck continues. Emerson. And it knocked past him by Donato. That's a battle the Jets have to win with 3 players after the puck. Kentell had to one-hand it in, stood up by Bourque, and the Bruins get it down.
Ray Bourque has had an outstanding game, killing penalties, power play, 21 minutes after 2 periods, and he's been out here most of the third.
2:57 in the major. Stanton fired it past Yzerbark. Newman stopped it at the point. To Yzerbark along the board. Shannon setting up in front. Nelson Emerson. To Newman at the point. Now to Kentell. Back to Newman. The slap shot deflected wide off Smolinski. Emerson along the boards gives it to Newman at the point. His pass off Smolinski's stick. He's done a nice job penalty killing tonight for the Bruins. Stanton. Newman kept it in at least momentarily. Now here's Hines flying down the right side with Wesley. Hines looking for Wesley off the skate of Stefan Kentell. Newman in near center. Passed it across for Solani. He had to wait for Yzerbark to go to the bench. Dave Reed. In front, here's Donato looking for the hat trick. Right in on the backhand, and he's poke checked by Mike O'Neill. Donato steals it again. Takes the shot. O'Neill to save. Loose puck. Shot wide by Donato. Bruins all over the Jets, and it's Winnipeg with the man advantage.
Talked about the Jets very casual without the puck, and again we're seeing it when they don't have the puck with the man advantage. They don't chase at all.
And the fans have come to life, cheering their Bruins on. Juno checks his man. Back come the Bruins again. Reed going for the net. Juno in the slot. Shot wide by Sweeney. The Jets with the power play, but the Bruins have had the best chances. Solani down the left side. Gets around Ray Bourque. Solani fans on the shot. Nearly got the rebound through the pads of Casey. Mironov at the point. To Solani. 1:13 in the power play. Side of the net to Tkachuk. Behind the net for Steen. Bourque is there again defensively for the Bruins to Cam Neely, and he backhands it down the ice. Solani near center. Hands it off to Nelson Emerson. Speeding into the Bruins zone, goes behind the net. Stops in the corner with it. Emerson to Tkachuk. At the point to Kentell. Back for Emerson. That play broken up by Wesley. Tkachuk helps out in the corner for Winnipeg. Side of the net to Emerson. For Solani. Couldn't get the shot away against Neely. Emerson in front. Tkachuk shoots, scores! And it's 5-4.
Still 31 seconds left in this power play. Jets good puck movement. Solani missed a good chance. Tkachuk in front of the net. Power forward. Can't be moved. Paul Stanton couldn't handle Tkachuk in front. And Tkachuk gets a nice pass and beats John Casey. Solani, after missing the chance, stays in. Tries to find the puck. Emerson does. Out to Tkachuk. And no chance for John Casey.
Tkachuk's 25th of the season, 14th on the power play, and the Jets are within 1.
The fans that Keith Tkachuk bought those tickets for were cheering on their feet. We've seen some sweaters with Keith Tkachuk's name and the captain sign on the sweaters, and you can hear them applaud.
Emerson and Solani assisting. Crazy bounce off the glass, rolled to Casey. He covers up. 24 seconds remaining in the Winnipeg power play. Emerson and Solani assisting on the goal.
A young Cam Neely. He reminds you so much. The same kind of player. Good hands, strong. Donato short-handed. Bruins had all sorts of chances short-handed. Saved by Mike O'Neill, and he gets a piece of the rebound. O'Neill with a couple of good big saves at key times on Ted Donato.
Winnipeg scored, and so did Donna Knighton of Oakbank. She included a Sunlight Laundry Detergent proof of purchase, entered Score and Win at Safeway. Donna's won a set of Ryobi Workforce Power Tools. The Jets have worked their way to within one of the Bruins with 9:18 left, just 6 seconds in the power play. Steen backhands it in for Yzerberg. Ray Bourque in the corner. Shannon, after Sweeney, plays it around. Quintel kept it in momentarily. And Reed lost it at center to the big Winnipeg defenseman. Smolinski along the boards. Hughes all alone in front, but the pass in front bounced off Mironov. Jets fortunate there. Jets making a change. Here's Kennedy. Back to Igor Ulanov. Pass it center to King. He scoops it in. Ty Domi on the ice. Featherstone banked it off the boards to Joe Juneau. Now to Brent Hughes. Fires it in off the corner glass. Ulanov for Winnipeg. Off Tomlinson's stick. Featherstone at his own line. For Donato, Ulanov has it for Winnipeg and shoots it in. 8:20 to play third period. It's the Bruins 5 and the Jets 4. Cam Neely across to Juneau. Wesley following up on the play. To Hughes. Tomlinson. And Hughes picks it up. Paul Stanton drives it in off the corner glass. Kennedy right back out for Winnipeg. Hughes looking at Ulanov.
And in comes Ty Domi and Chris King as the Jets have their tough line on.
Rob Schick with more penalties to hand out. Jets down by 1.
Struggle. If you understand the rewards of effort, you'll appreciate the result of ours. And so today, tomorrow, forever, every Molson beer will be naturally aged and free of preservatives. Why? It's our way of making Canada's best beers better.
3 stars after the game. I get to pick them, Bruce, and usually I like to pick the 2 goaltenders, but 9 goals being scored here tonight. Ted Donato's had a big night, killing penalties, been very aggressive, has really filled in for Adam Oates. Igor Ulanov in the penalty box. I thought Brent Hughes should have got a penalty. He came back at Ulanov, but Ulanov's the only one off.
So a key penalty kill for the Jets, down by a goal. Bruins have Smolinski, Neely, Juneau, Wesley, and Bourque. Does Bourque ever get any time on the bench? Seems like he's out there almost the entire game.
Natural skater, and I think that's why he can play so much each game and not get tired. He just skates so easily and so gracefully.
Flips it into the corner for Smolinski. Juneau To the slot for Neely, and it's poked down the ice by Paul Eisebart. Casey out to play it. Rink wide to Wesley. Wesley slowly to center. The Bork dumps it in on Mike O'Neill. Newman in there for Winnipeg, and he shoots it down the ice. Ray Bork for Boston, 1:10 to go on the power play, 7 minutes in the third period. Smolinski didn't see the pass coming. Juneau did, but lost the puck to Kennedy at the line. Bork shooting it in. Teppo Newman down the ice. So far, a nice job by the Jets. Stanton. Off the corner boards, O'Neill to Boughton. Randy Gillen for Winnipeg. Couldn't clear it against Bork, across to Stanton. He chips it into the corner for Donato. Boughton winding up around to Eisebart. And he flips it out for the Jets with 33 seconds to go on the penalty to Igor Ulanov. Zoltak for Boston. To Ray Bork. Slaps it in from center off Eisebart. Boughton and Zoltak behind the net. Wesley along the boards. Feeds Bork at the point. His shot off a stick. Boughton has it for Winnipeg. Clears it to Eisebart. Would have had a breakaway, but called on the two-line offside pass. Clock down to 11 seconds on the Ulanov penalty.
Glenn Wesley tried to play that long pass and missed it. Had he just tipped it, Eisebart was in cold. He was offside. This power play, the Winnipeg Jets have stood up at the blue line very well. You look at the number of times that the Boston Bruins have had to shoot it in. They don't like to do that. They're a puck control team when they have the man advantage, and when they have shot it in, the Jets have been there first to get the puck.
Bruins talking things over. Morris, Reed, Hines up front, Featherstone and Wesley. Boys just inside the line. Bruins win the faceoff. Featherstone, side of the net. Hines to the front of the net, trying to get a stick on it. Puck still loose. They battle for it, and it's kicked away by Teppo Newman. Reed in front. Hines all alone. Backhand shot. O'Neill stood up and made the save. Gillen to Emerson. He chipped it past Wesley as Ulanov is out of the penalty box. 5:35 remaining third period. Bruins 5 and the Jets 4. Newman to Mironov. Pass on the left side for Teemu Selanne. Had some room. Casey into the corner for Wesley. Reed is bumped by Mironov. And the Bruins just clear the zone. Teppo Newman. Pass on the right side for Emerson. Hughes for Smolinski. Mironov off the boards to center. Don Sweeney flips it back in for Boston. Newman around for Steen. Tried to send Selanne away. Bruins watching him closely. Stanton to the line for Hughes. He dumps it in for Boston. O'Neill around for Tkachuk. Two Bruins there to meet him. Newman out on the right side to Thomas Steen. Selanne is trailing the play. Selanne just moving in. He was upended by Sweeney. Tkachuk couldn't center it. Steen on the other side is checked neatly by Casey. Can tell from the point. Shot over top of the goal. Boughton at the left point. Steen in front of the net. Jets trying to put some pressure on Selanne without his glove. Still controls it. Selanne has it again to the backhand. A shot. Casey the save. Big rebound goes to Hughes. And he slides the puck down the ice. Bruins will be called for icing as Hughes and Tkachuk have words. You're watching the Jets live on CKND.
difference. If you're in the market for window coverings, you'll want to give us a try during our second annual Million Meter Markdown.
Million Meter Markdown.
All overstocked and discontinued inventory is priced to clear with savings of up to 70% off.
Savings up to 70%.
Shop tax-free at our factory, where we produce just about everything we sell. Or enjoy the convenience of our free shop-at-home service.
Million Meter Markdown.
All for a limited time only. Only at Super Blinds and Draperies.
Your window coverings headquarters.
Next home action for the Jets Wednesday, January 12th. Dominic Hasek, Alexander McGillney, Dale Hawerchuk, and the rest of the Buffalo Sabres come to town. For tickets, call 780-SEAT. The Jets have won 3 in a row on arena ice. Face off to the left of John Casey. 4:08 to go, third period. A good hockey game tonight here in Boston. Jets.
Dominic Hasek, Player of the Month, co-Player of the Month, along with Sergei Fedorov. We're going to have a stick measurement here. Joe Juneau's stick is being measured as the Jets trailing by a goal. 4:08 left. Rob Schick, we have a good view of this. Bruce, you talked about the broadcast location. We're almost over the penalty box. The width of the blade. They're not going with the curve. They're going with the width of Joe Juneau's blade.
It is an illegal stick.
And it's too wide.
So a good call by John Paddock on the Jets bench. That costs the Jets a minor if it's not illegal. Time so critical, 4:08. Is that the trainer over there filing down the rest of Joe Juneau's sticks?
Use somebody else's. Juneau has got a very wide stick. It's one of those that great for taking face-offs, hard for the goaltender to read. One late in the game, you'd want to take a look at it.
So, always a smart call, John, when it works in your favor.
Ken Flager is picking out a legal one for Joe to look at, and I don't think he's probably got any. That's one thing. You look at the curve on your stick and you adjust that. When you had the width of the blade called, get somebody else's.
Joe Juneau, a graduate of aeronautical engineering at RPI. You think he'd be using a legal stick, smart guy like that, but
see, he has somebody else's. He tapes all his with white tape. He's got black tape on that stick. He's got somebody else's as he heads to the penalty box. And I doubt whether it's one of Marty McSorley's.
So the Jets flicked on their last power play, a 5-minute advantage with 30 seconds to go in it. They have Tkachuk, Solani, Emerson, Numanen, and Mironov throwing all the firepower they can at the Bruins. Looking for the equalizer. Solani knocks it back to Mironov. To Solani. Using his strength against Sweeney. Solani lost his balance behind the net, and Sweeney neatly flipped it out from behind his goal. Teppo Numanen to Boris Mironov. Fires it in high off the glass. Puck's up on the dasher. Comes down to Tkachuk behind the net. Emerson was dumped in front. Numanen at the point. To Solani. Quick shot. Hit Sweeney in front and went to Donato. Reed trying to send Donato away, and good back checking by Teemu Solani.
Again, the Jets without the puck with a man advantage. Very casual coming back. Almost a breakaway for the Bruins.
Numanen trying to shoot it in, and it went off the stick of Bork into the seats. 1:09 remaining in the minor to Joe Juneau. 3:16 in the period.
John Paddock with the stick call with 4 minutes left in the third period instead of waiting till the end. This way you have a man advantage for 2 minutes, and then you can pull your goaltender and have another man advantage should you not score while you're on the power play.
People might think, well, why wouldn't he do it in the last 2 minutes? But what happens if you don't make the right call and you end up being a man short? Then you can't pull the goalie. That's the reason he did it around the 16-minute mark. Numanen can't keep it in at the point. Smolinski to Hines in on the left side. Cuts to the middle. Got the shot away. And O'Neill made the stop for Winnipeg. Numanen behind the net. to Quintel. 50 seconds in the man advantage. Thomas Steen. Stick handles between a couple of Bruins. Then coughed it up to Wesley. Quintel. Pass it center to Shannon. He's forced by Wesley. Thomas Steen. Rolls it into the Bruins zone. Wesley to Bork. Has some time. He didn't dump it out, but Hines does. 22 seconds left in the Jets power play. Teppo Numminen drives it in from center. Emerson in the corner with Shannon. Puck squirts loose to Reed, and his pocket picked by Emerson. Shannon to Eisenbart. Great save by John Casey on Paul Eisenbart.
Casey with the save, read the play very well, got over before the pass and was there on the shot by Eisenbart.
Don Sweeney. Bruins have returned to full strength. Less than 2 minutes to go. Paul Eisenbart. Here's Tkachuk in alone, but it's called on the offside.
Tkachuk has words with John Casey as Casey thought Tkachuk was going to try and slide it in the net after the whistle.
So now the faceoff comes outside the line, and now the Jets will look at pulling Mike O'Neill.
Casey slides across, sees Eisenbart before the pass, stacks the pads and makes the save. Veteran goaltender, anticipating so well, getting the pads over to make the save. And he has not looked very comfortable tonight. First period, I thought they might come out with John Blue to start the second period. But Brian Sutter stuck with Casey, and he's played well.
Jets have Emerson at center with Tkachuk and Solani on the wings. Mironov and Boughton on defense. 1:51 to go. 5-4 Bruins. Sergei Boughton. Here's Tkachuk trying to carry it in for the Jets. Court failed to clear it. Tkachuk. Boughton. Behind the net, Casey playing it. Around for Cam Neely. Mironov pinching for the Jets, and Neely coolly rolls it out for the Bruins. Boughton hit Emerson trying to dump it in. Teemu Solani. Back to Mironov. Over to Boughton. Flips it in off the stick of Tkachuk. Bouncing puck. Bork around the dasher for Donato. The goalie thought about coming out, but Juneau controls it. Neely. Golfed it in the general direction of the goal. Clock down to 1:03. Bork keeps it onside, moving up. Here's Donato. The shot, O'Neill, the pad save. And he holds on at the side of the net with 57 and 4/10 seconds remaining.
Another one of those Jet passes right up the middle. Picked off by Ray Bork, and the Jets were lucky. Right up the middle, Bork's there. Good scoring chance to Donato. Mike O'Neill stands up well. Cuts down the angle and makes a save. Donato didn't have the trigger, had to take it on the backhand, pulled it to his forehand. By the time he did that, Mike O'Neill was right there to make the save.
Jets have called their timeout. Faceoff will be in the Jet zone to the left of Mike O'Neill. O'Neill was alert there. He thought about heading to the bench, but saw Juneau with control of the puck and went right back in. Good thing he did.
Kept his eye on the play as the puck came around the boards, and again the Bruins were strong on the boards, got it out, had a scoring chance. Different coaches have different philosophies for a goaltender. Mike O'Neill, his first game, has to talk to the coach and see what they want. Some coaches feel as soon as you gain control in your own zone, the goalie heads off. And other coaches feel that it has to be in the other zone before the goalie starts to go. So I'm sure Mike O'Neill talked it over with the coaches and now know exactly when he is to head to the bench.
We've just been informed by our statistician, Ray Bork, 32 and a half minutes so far tonight.
And he's out there again, so we can add one more to that. Bad night. He didn't hit his 35-minute mark.
Randy Gillen will take the face-off against Smolinski. Jets need to gain control, and get the puck in the other end. Neely went to the net right off the draw. Smolinski knocked his man down, Gillen. Jets have control. Quintel to Solani. Now O'Neill heads for the bench. Pass back to Solani on the left side, but a delayed offside against Winnipeg. Clock down to 44.5 seconds. Boy, that save Casey made on Yzerbark may have been a game saver for Boston.
Bruins stood up at the blue line and forced that offside. Keith Tkachuk and Teemu Solani.
Jets have done one thing right so far tonight. Kept that man off the score sheet, Cam Neely.
Had a goal post and 1 assist, but didn't have his usual 4 or 5 quality scoring chances. Gillen with the draw, wins the draw, but again, the Bruins, strong on the puck, kept control.
Andy Murray and John Paddock directing traffic. Gillen won the faceoff back to Quintel, but it hopped over his stick and the puck deep in the Jet zone again. Bruins trying to be very aggressive. Pass out on the right side for Tkachuk. He did touch it, so it's a 2-line offside.
Jets forwards too far ahead of the play. Defenseman had forced to throw that long pass. By the time it got there, Tkachuk was offside.
So these face-offs not occurring where John Paddock would like them. Brian Sutter says it's fine with me.
Bruins play Florida on Saturday, and then they have Toronto come in for a game next Monday. Go on the road for a couple, back home for a couple, and then they have a long trip for them, a 4-gamer.
Stefan Quintel. Pass through the middle for Tkachuk. That was cut off by Sweeney, and he dumps it in. The clock down to 25 seconds. Quintel to Solani. Poked it past Bork. Here's Newman up the left side for Winnipeg. Around Sweeney. Newman still controls it. Then gave it away to Smolinski. Got it back. Gillen in front. Tkachuk at the side of the goal. Couldn't put it in. Right in front. Here's Quintel shooting. That hit a man in front. Went to the corner. Clock at 6 seconds. Solani shoots off the blocker of Casey. Solani behind the net for Emerson. Can't center it. Sweeney is there, and the hockey game is over.
A much better game for the Winnipeg Jets. A spirited effort. Reminds me of the game they played in Toronto, the game they won 5-4. And had they had some breaks here in the third period, they could have won this one. Played with a lot of fire and played with a lot of emotion. Never gave up. Even when the game started to turn against them, they were down 5-3. They battled back. And John Paddock, even though the L is in the L column, has to be more encouraged after tonight's effort.
Ray Bork, a strong game for the Bruins with 4 points. Keith Tkachuk scored on the power play in the third to get the Jets to within 1, but they lose tonight 5-4 at Boston Garden. In just a moment, we'll have the Molson 3-star selection.
Time now for your Molson Drive 3 stars. Third star with 2 goals tonight from the Bruins, Ted Donato. Star number 2 from the Winnipeg Jets, Teemu Solani, a goal and an assist tonight. And the number 1 star, Bruins defenseman Ray Bork, a goal and 3 assists. There are your stars, Bork, Solani, and Donato, and the updated Molson Cup standings. The final score, Boston beats the Jets 5-4. Our telecast will continue after this. The Jets lose it by 1 to the Boston Bruins. If they had a few more bounces go their way, they might have been able to sneak out of Boston with a point tonight.
It was one of those situations. They had some chances towards the end, and they just couldn't finish. You know, in closer, they got this is the Yzerbark play, right in tight. I mean, a little break. I mean, he needs a break. He just can't get his goals right now. He's a goal scorer, and I tell you, it's hard on him. The second chance here is Solani. He's in clean, and he just misses seeing the Casey come charging out, and he gets poke checked. I mean, that's just a matter of seconds, and he's got a good. He'd have a goal if he could just look up and see that happen.
All right, 3 losses for the Jets on this road trip, which continues Saturday night in Ottawa, then Monday in Montreal, but they've got the Senators first.
Well, that's going to be interesting. You know, 5 more minutes tonight, they might have turned this whole thing around. They started really coming on. Last 10 minutes, as we were talking, we thought the emotion, everything started to pick up for them. going to Ottawa is going to be tough. They made a big trade tonight that always sends a little bit more adrenaline to the other dressing room. So Winnipeg going in there needs to really pick up the pace quite a bit.
All right, Jordy Douglas, thank you very much for joining us once again tonight. Final score, the Jets losing to the Boston Bruins 5-4. Up next, the Canadian Tire out-of-town scoreboard. Well, a spirited start and finish for the Winnipeg Jets tonight in Boston, but some lapses in between ultimately cost them a point against the Boston Bruins. The Jets winless so far in this 5-game road trip, losing 3 games. They have games remaining in Ottawa Saturday and Montreal on Monday. That's it for tonight as they lose it 5-4 in Boston. Molson Jets Hockey on CKND has been brought to you by Molson Brewery, where every beer brewed is naturally aged and free of preservatives.